Welcome in, folks. Welcome in. Thank you all so much for being here. We surely do appreciate it. Hope you're having a fantastic Wednesday. Omni! My throat is drying up. What is going on, my friend?
Hey everyone, good to see you, Derek. Thank you, as always, for hosting me on this awesome channel.
Pleasure.
Hello everyone, I am the last Omnitecture about American, and welcome to the frontier, my rodents of the realm. It's a pleasure to have you all on board. So, let's get a recap of what's been going on, but for those of you who are new to our stream, welcome. We are running Mouse Guard, The Frontier today, a awesome game built off the comics of the amazing David Peterson, and it is an incredibly fun game. I'm super excited. We have ourselves 2 mice, 1 weasel, and I'll let them introduce themselves, going from spontaneously. I'll let you guys bottom left to right, whatever.
I don't know
Giles.
what order we're in.
Yes.
Hello, it is I, Giles. I'm also red, one of the 3 primary colors, and my dog just burped, so that's cool.
Nice.
I play Giles of Wolfram, or as he's colloquially referred to as Giles the Aloof. And he's kind of like the hard ass leader type, but he's got a smart ass streak in him. So you'll see. Be gone, dog.
100%. Natalie, why don't you introduce your character next?
Hey, I am playing Sayana the Small, and she is a mouse who's not very experienced with adventuring, but she wanted to give it her shot, make her stake her claim. So she's out here doing her thing, getting stuff done.
Yes.
Get out here.
All right. Derek, why don't you introduce us to your character?
I am playing Dukan the Weasel. He is the resident skull taker and murder machine, but he is, contrary to whatever Natalie might say, indeed adorable. He's here to cause a bit of trouble and make things that need to die dead. But you can't fight the wind. Can't fight the wind.
You can try, but it certainly won't end. That's what we seem to have to take away now. Awesome.
But you can break the wind.
As
You
your dog
can.
just demonstrated.
She did. I'm glad it was just that. Could have been worse.
Oh man, yeah. When you start getting some like flying projectiles in the wind, that's when things get. So let us pick up where we left off. I'm going to do the same thing I usually do when we have a recap on this channel. I'm going to ask you guys to give us a recap. It can be as far back as the first session or last session, but I want to know what happened last session. And if you do well enough, I'll let you have your choice of I'll say either fate or persona point. Your call. I don't mind either. So, who wants to start?
Ooh, let me get my character sheet up.
I was not here for the beginning of the last session, so
Okay.
if someone else would like to take the lead, I can pick up
I
at the
was
middle or
getting
end.
the squirrel hide hand and all that good stuff.
Okay.
I'm trying to remember exactly what I made out of it. I don't know if I made anything out. Oh, I did make something out
It
of
was a shield. You got a shield out of it.
Thank you.
Yep.
A little fuzzy on the memory.
You're good shape.
Then I remember having trouble with the guards at the gate because I'm a weasel and they are racist, which is fair because my kind eat theirs. I guess that's not necessarily racism as much as it is preservation in those regards, but
As much as
Con
it's
felt
practical
prejudice.
hundreds. Yeah, it is very much worldly experience on many of their parts.
just like they felt the extreme prejudice of my fangs and claws last war. Anyway,
Yeah. How dare they be angry? I ate probably many of them.
and have some of their cousins on my belt. Then the big old knight with the pole arm, or great sword, he had a great sword, tried to stop me and Modi, and he said the only way you're getting through is if you have express permission by, God damn it, what's her name? The
Gwendolyn.
mouse. Gwendolyn, thank you.
Yep, Gwendolyn, the matriarch of the Mouse Guard.
Yep. And I was like, well, I guess I'm not gonna get in. And we got permission later to go in. Yeah, and that was my part of that part.
Awesome. Take your choice of persona or a fate point. Either one.
Point. How many persona can you have again?
There's no limit.
Okay, I'm gonna take a fate point. I only have 2.
You have a starting limit, or I should say a starting place, but it increases or decreases at will. So you can have literally 99. You can only use so many of them in a session. Anyway. Go nuts.
Cool. I'm gonna take a fate point then. Thank you.
Perfect.
Oh, I remember
Horseman.
I remember accomplishing my goal.
Yes, you did.
Remember that. Sorry. There you go.
Well, you're good. Who be next? Who wants to go?
I'll go. Sorry, my dog is just like barking up the storm. You stop that.
So
means
right.
no.
Sweet babe.
So, my goal last session was to get new recruits. That worked out. I did end up getting new recruits, but before all of that, we were told that there were some thieves that stole something that was wrapped up in a very ominous package. So we went to do that. I harassed the shit out of a guard. I literally blew smoke in his face or up his ass, depending on where you want to interpret that. And I started, ma'am, I'm trying to talk. Don't you smile. That's not funny.
I gotta say that's the cutest. I know for you it's a lot louder through the filter. It's the cutest little just yep in the background. It's so cute.
I'm glad it's entertaining. Yeah. We found the. You stop it. We found the 2 perpetrators, and Giles started going full evangelist mode, and quoting verses from his scripture. And we did end up catching them, and Giles did some pretty cool badass action movie stuff in the process.
100%. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, your choice of a fate or persona point, Chief. You well earned it.
My dog is just fucking staring me down right now. She's just like,
Like,
"How
you
dare
tell me to be
you?
quiet? Let me get
out
out
of
a
here."
megaphone for this one.
Ma'am, I beg you.
Fam, this is a mouse card stream. All right, Natalie, what do you got?
Okay. So like Red said, we chased down the guys who stole the package. He was not very nice to them. I distinctly remember him beating them with this his staff or sword, whatever he carries. We retrieved the package, which had fallen open, and Sayana heeded Gwendolyn's word and did not look inside the package like a good mouse. The Weasel and Red's character were not so obedient, and they did look at the cloak and saw the horrors that it held. I don't remember its original owner. I think you had told us their name, but
Silphino. Silphino was his name. Silphino,
Yes.
Silphino the fox's mouse.
yes, so turns out it was his cloak, which has held on to some part of his force, if you will. And it seems like a very powerful artifact. When we brought it back to the camp, it was oddly, I am blanking on his name.
Cedric, I believe.
Cedric, yes. He is the one who took the cloak instead of Gwendolyn or Saxon. So that was an interesting thing that we noticed. After that, Sayana went and did some shopping, as one does after a long day of work. And then, yes, then she spent some time with her hopefully man, Preston.
One day may happen.
Yes.
Maybe one day you'll rescue him from his true mate in the sea.
Her
She's gonna
current
fight you over this
infatuation, I
For the
should
whole
say.
campaign, I promise. She did this to me too, dude. It's gonna happen. I'm sorry.
You know, I'm okay with it.
It's
I'm
a hazard.
totally okay with
The
it.
hazard of playing with her. She wants to fall in love. It's okay. We all want to fall
Oh.
in love, guys.
You know, I can't
It
blame
just
you. I try to
seems
romance
like-
art every game I'm in. I can't blame you.
It seemed funny at the moment, like she goes to the ship and then, Omni describes this dashing mouse with his bright red cape and the eye patch and his hat with the big feather, and I'm like, oh, Sayana would absolutely be like, who is that? Just instantly under spell.
Oh man, I'm just gonna say I'm sure the player who made Preston is like just absolutely pleased with Punch. I'm actually gonna see him in November. I'm gonna definitely tell him, hey, by the way, your character's a fucking heartthrob in my online campaign. I hope you know.
Yes.
Um,
He has his own little groupie.
well, definitely Fader Persona for that one. That's perfect. Thank you. Excellent. So we're gonna, before we start, do what we always do. Which, by the way, also nice to see everybody in chat. Oh, JJ, Bon, much
Alright,
love to you
JJ.
guys. Good to see all of you. Thank you.
Hey, Bon.
Coin, I see you, Will.
Everyone's here.
Yeah, seriously, Maui girl. Much love to everybody. Thank you all for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. So, we're gonna do what we always do on the stream, which is we're gonna decide what your goals are for this session here and now. So we're gonna begin. We're gonna go in reverse order this time. So I'm going to let you know, you're going to be on the water today. And I'm going to leave it largely in your hands, because a lot of Mouse Guard is survival, traversal, and actually like going from point A to point B. It's like Lord of the Rings in that way. There's a lot less orc fighting and a lot more walking. And the walking is often what kills you. So I'm going to see how you guys deal with it today.
I know what my goal is.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Go ahead,
I
because
wanna
I'm
kill a
still
sea
thinking.
snake.
You want to try to kill a sea snake.
I want
All
to
right.
kill a sea snake.
I like where this
For
is
the
going.
record, we're talking about our goals right now. We're just about to start, so welcome, Chief. So Derek has decided he wants to kill a sea snake.
It's totally Dukan, dude. Somebody's gonna tell him there's snakes in the water. He's gonna be like, "There's fucking snakes in that water. Hold my cloak."
All right, I will
And then
say.
he never came back up.
Let's see. Okay. Your character and you are different people, so I can tell you this: there are snakes in that water. It isn't impossible to find a water snake.
Sick of these goddamn snakes. These motherfucking pond.
I will also say there will be eels. I'm going to put this out there, though. That is one dangerous ass order. But if you want it, it's yours.
Do I die?
I'm not saying it's
in
going to like get the
session
expedition destroyed or anything,
4?
but that shit can kill you.
You don't have a good track record when it comes to rolling well so far, Derek.
Actually,
I will
I've done
say
pretty
that
well. The only time I didn't roll well was fighting the wind.
it's true.
And how do you think you're gonna fare fighting a snake?
I've killed one.
Technically, he's wearing one when he fought the snake last time. Granted, it took your master to help you get there, but
Right, but that was the hypothetical snake. This is the literal snake.
Kill a sea monster.
that's fair. I think that's fair. Killing a beast of the ocean is entirely a reasonable request, and a goal you could easily achieve. I don't want to say easily achieve, but achieve this session without having to go too Moby Dick on that shit. So yes, write that down. Your goal is kill a beast of the ocean. Ren or Natalie, do you have any suggestions for what you would like?
Tempted to set a really simple goal, like I want to get 100 steps on my Fitbit.
God damn it! Every time I'm drinking, you make me lose it. Oh god, I love you guys.
I'm thinking. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead, please. I was gonna say something stupid and ridiculous. Please go ahead.
I'm thinking Sayana's probably on some type of high from her first real adventure thing, so she thinks she's the bee's knees now. So she wants to impart some wisdom on someone today. She thinks that she kind of knows her stuff now. So let me take someone who's inexperienced under my wing and teach them what I know.
That's cute.
I like that. So okay. Fun fact: there's a strong tradition of that in the Mouse Guard. Mouse Guard don't start as guard; they start as tender paws, and tender paws are trained by patrol guards and by patrol leaders. You are a patrol guard, so
There we go.
there are
Perfect.
tender paws in the expedition. So I would say mentor a tender paw. Not an unreasonable request. Put that bad boy down in the goals.
Oh,
Let's
that's
do
so
it.
All right, Red. What are you thinking, buddy? What's the idea?
Well, so Natalie wants to lead by example, which I respect that. I'm gonna do the same by teaching these two new ne'er-do-wells the words of the mighty saints
Ooh, okay.
through combat.
Oh, I love it. All right. I love that. So, okay. Weirdly, I'm going to say this falls under the same goal because it seems fair that that you are going to be mentoring Tenderpaws since they are technically they're conscripts. I'm not even sure we're formally at Guard's Mouse yet, but like, if you get them good enough, you could absolutely make them Mouse Guard. I'm sure Gwendolyn wouldn't say no to 2 more hands or 2 new cloaks. So yeah, do that. Mentor up a Tenderpaw. In 2 brackets 2.
My technical goal is to teach them or to learn upon them the teachings of Saint Bogdan.
Okay. Learn upon them the teachings of Saint Bogdan. That's perfect. I love it.
Saint Bogdan's the Saint of Swords, by the way, so they're going to be hurting afterwards.
Perfect. I love it.
Yo, Lily skin!
Be learned, bitch! I cut some of that. You've learned
He wasn't cut out for the guard.
Oh god, that's so messed up. I love it. All right.
Was that an intentional pun?
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Oh, yeah. Add that on, Red. That's perfect. Okay.
Excellent.
So, we are going to get right to it then, and we're going to pick up where we left off. The last night, you all managed to apprehend our thieves. Red, you managed to effectively conscript them into your tiny expedition within the expedition. And afterward, you all went onto Preston, or at least I remember that at least one of you went onto Preston's boat and spent time hanging out with Preston and Cedric and drinking into the night and having a good time. As for the rest of you, I imagine you all did your own things, as I recall. Actually, yeah, I think you all just retired basically at the end of the night after a very long day's work. So we're going to pick up at the next morning. Guards mice wake up early, as many people do in this setting. This is, after all, true Iron Age setting, and you wake up when the sun gets you up. There are no alarm clocks. But this is even more so for a guard's mouse out of his home on an expedition. You will absolutely want to be awake at sunrise. And so, depending on the amount of inebriation you would either wake up with the sun, or you would wake up when you hear a mouse with a very shrill sailor's whistle blowing across the entirety of the bay, waking up many people who live in the port who didn't need to wake up that early. And you can hear a resounding, rolling groan throughout the entirety of the bay, while the mice of the Mouse Guard begin to get ready to move their expedition. Let's see who wants to go first with their waking up, with who wants to be the one to focus the camera on.
I'll go if nobody else speaks up.
Good.
Or
First of all, thank you for the hydration and the stretch, Odie and JJ. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
So first question, you said this is like Iron Ages, so does that mean that we go to sleep when the sun goes down, we wake up around midnight for a couple hours, and then we go back to sleep, and then wake up at dawn?
Pretty much. Like, every single, different civilizations handle it differently. Some towns are so comfortable they can sleep through the entire night without any issue. Oftentimes, especially within a settlement, it's so well guarded that you can rest. Because you're a predator, and your people tend to live in the Dark Heather, which is underground, so you don't really have too many real threats to deal with. You are the threat to this civilization. You're not the one constantly on alert. You probably could sleep all the way through the night. But I guarantee, at very least, Modi the Red is absolutely ensuring that you have a guard on duty 24/7. And if it's not one of the Three Stooges, it's you. It's never her. She sleeps however long she wants. So I would imagine if your character is used to being in the wild or hunting beasts, yeah, you're probably crepuscular, I think is what it's called, where it's
Twilight hours.
Exactly. So,
Okay. Then I would say at this point I'm probably getting a little bit sleepy, getting ready for my my mid-morning nap, probably. And I'm supposed to have been standing guard, but instead I'm probably returning with a couple of let's see, what's smaller than a mouse? What are those
Bugs?
things called?
No, let him
voles?
figure it out. Yeah,
Voles?
no, go ahead.
Is it voles?
Those
Voles
are
not-
smaller than a field mouse.
I'm not telling you.
They're not?
They're in that same ballpark.
Oh.
If you're looking for something smaller than a mouse to kill, usually bugs, but there are. Let's see. Let me consult the order. Let me consult the ranks of nature here. The orders of
could I-
nature.
What could I feasibly have brought back without making a check that's not going to freak out a civilization of mousefolk?
A roach?
Fish, small snakes. I was going to say young mouse. That will definitely freak them out. Baby snakes and tadpoles, that sort of thing. I could definitely see your character fishing for tadpoles. That shit's entirely feasible.
A worm?
Okay. Yeah, I've got a
Worms,
couple
yeah,
of
worm,
tadpoles.
100%. That shit will feed a weasel.
Flirk him up like a spaghetti noodle.
Nah, I don't want to do the worms. I think tadpoles he would be interested in because I don't know if they get tadpoles around the Dark Heather, but he's gonna pop one of these things in his mouth and see how it goes down. 100%.
I love that.
Yeah, so he's got like a little basket that's like sloshing around with these little jelly like with every stuff.
There is probably in fact a farm rancher in not the expedition, but in this area, because it's one of the easiest things you can raise to be kind of like a mount, as well as also one of the easiest things you can create a draft animal or food animal out of at a younger age. Not the toads they turn into, the tadpoles, because a single tadpole is basically the size of your standard pheasant mouse. So that's actually a pretty good way to get meat. And also, yeah, and then just like you take as many as you can because they breed insane amounts. Let the rest go naturally, then go find them again, cull a bunch more eggs, start from scratch. You may not have asked to sup from the fenced-in, like netted area where these tadpoles were from, but yeah, you didn't think it's important. There'd be someone guarding it if it was important. So yeah, you managed to get out of there with a couple of like a net full of this stuff. There's probably like about, I want to say like 7 or 8 tadpoles flopping around. They're pretty big. They're getting to that age where they're about to metamorphose into like their next phase, getting the little legs.
I'm just gonna go take my my bounty to Modi.
So you hear the distant, the sound of like the sailor's whistle echoing across the entirety of the barges, and you can see the mice are starting to mobilize and wake up for the day. I'm gonna say you're like halfway towards like you're like onto the dock where the barge is parked at. When that happens, in the distance you can just hear, "My tadpoles! What happened to my tadpoles?" Like it, just like a quiet, distant scream. As the weasel, who, when you left, you were supposed to be on guard. When you come back, there is a weasel standing there. It's one of the Three Stooges, and
I throw him a
just
tadpole.
Curly.
yeah, he catches it, looks at it, nods, then just crunch, just like bites the head off. Gives you like a thanks kind of gesture as he's doing this thing that a normal mouse would need, like a fork and a knife and a roast for.
I look straight ahead as if like we are not even going to mention this.
Oh no, he gets he knows this. This is Weasel society. You have
Quid
done what
pro
you are
quo.
wont to do. 100%. You're a predator. You just hunted. You shared your kill. We're
Predator
good.
as in the animal, by the way. Just wanted to
Yes,
clarify.
100%. Yes. We are talking mice and weasels here.
We're talking in character
Um,
here, don't worry.
Yeah, 100%.
Derek is very
um,
much not a predator in real life.
That's my wife.
Yeah.
I can attest to that.
Thank God for that.
He's kind of a prey, honestly, with the way his eyes are on the sides of his head. I mean, like, you know how it is.
That's mean.
Saw Derek's
Oh, my feelings.
That was sad. So, Derek, you can hear deep within the shell of the tortoise that you've been calling your. You can hear the deep, rumbling, like sleep from within Sedney's burrow of Modi on the topmost chamber. And as you're approaching, also, like, you notice that the whole of the tortoise is on this larger barge, which you guys have seen before. But here you go, just in case you hadn't seen it in a while. And the sails are being unfurled. There's a bunch of mice on it, and a hedgehog as well, which is what you expect, honestly. This whole expedition your tortoise has been largely your own. But on the back of that tortoise is a small area for guards. Because the Mouse Guard expedition aren't stupid. And they know they're playing with fire by keeping weasels in there. So they're here to help protect you as much as to protect the rest of the expedition from you. And so,
That's fair.
as you approach, like, one of the mice is kind of just used to seeing you coming, sort of like waves as you approach. And, the guy who's on guard, the weasel who's on guard, sort of nods and just sort of like leans in as he, between crunching your tadpole, just says, she just got to sleep. I don't know how much she wants to be bothered, but you certainly can try. Food would definitely improve her mood, I imagine. She says she's restless. She only got like 8 hours of sleep today, like half of what she normally gets.
No. Great. I kind of like look to this guy, look down to the tadpole, like fish my hand into the basket, and then crunch on one myself. Well, let's get this over with, I say with mouthfuls of tadpole.
It's a very satisfying crunch. It is literally like biting into half of a chicken. But, like, you don't mind the bones. This is kind of a thing you
I need
you're used
calcium.
to.
I gotta get it.
Yeah,
somewhere.
exactly. It's really not a big thing. It's like those folks who eat the grizzle off their chicken. Don't make fun. My grandma does that. She's 95.
I do that. It's like a Midwestern Southern thing. That's
Damn straight. Puerto Rican
Very
too.
normal.
Fist bump.
It soaks
just
up
about
a
the
lot of
gizzard
the
eating
juice.
too.
I don't eat
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
fucking ate gizzards like chicken bubble gum.
Oh, yes.
good stuff.
Okay. Anyway, I'm adding my weird food customs here.
I look to the big ol' poidle, and I kind of hold the piece that I haven't taken a bite out of in front of it, as if I'm like,
So Sudney is slowly herself like the tortoise that you've been on has been surprisingly tolerant of having weasels on and off its back. This is a very big ask for a tortoise because weasels normally don't hunt them, but absolutely will prey upon them occasionally if necessary. So you are a natural adversarial species, but she's been pretty tolerant. And she sees you offering the tadpole, she looks up, rumbles something in tortoise speak that you don't understand, but seems affirmative. She leans forward and slowly crunch and takes like it into her mouth and just closes it and looks back and slowly nods and lowers her head so that you have like a stairwell up that doesn't rely on the wooden planks made for mouse size on the side for you to like leap up on top, which is normally what you have to do.
fair point. I scramble up so as to not, put prolonged pressure on her neck, and chitter a thank you in, and take a breath. Knock, knock, knock on Modi's arch.
Deep within the bowels of Suddenly, within the bowels, it's the size of a one-bedroom apartment. Let's be real, okay? But it's still dark in there because she keeps it dark. Inside, you can hear the sound of just this deep snore, just stop, and you hear, yes, and slowly you see this massive weasel crane her head out through the door.
I take a couple of
give you
steps
a
back.
Dukan, welcome back.
Brought food.
She looks down at the guard, and the guard bites into his tadpole. Like, he clearly didn't tell her, but he's also one of the Three Stooges. Let's be real, he's not exactly subtle,
Mo.
so he might have accidentally let Modi know. So she leans in. Yes, so what can I do for you?
Brought food. And I place the tadpoles on the ground. Or on the tortoise.
Right. She looks down at them, scoops them up with her arms, sort of holds it up, like angling her noodly body so she can get a better look at it by craning her head. Shakes them a little bit. Scoops one out. But she doesn't bite into it, she just puts the whole thing in her mouth and crunches down. Like those. Have you ever met someone who's, as opposed to chewing like those ball gums the right way, like just crunches onto it like a jawbreaker.
You
That's
don't
basically
do
what
that?
she does. So I usually like slowly like chew it bit by bit. I don't like crunch the whole thing like a sociopath. I had a friend who like would do that with like 5 or 6 of them at a time.
Oh my god.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah, I don't know
okay.
how
Not I could do like one at a time.
That's what I mean. Like that, literally. Like, man, I don't know how he's alive. I swear he should have choked himself out with bubblegum years ago.
Mhm.
They call him the jawbreaker on the streets.
Yeah, he actually used to do that with actual jawbreakers. That
Oh.
yeah.
How does he still have teeth?
I don't know.
Concrete
He had
ball.
75 years. He might not have them anymore. In fairness, 30 is a weird time to start. Yeah, I might see him in 5 years and be like, "Oh, it's all jawbreakers." So yeah, she just crunches it in one bite and then just slurps what's left of the tail in. A worthy tribute. Good morning to you. She slowly turns and takes the bag with her, and then pauses, reaches in, grabs one of the tadpoles, then a second tadpole, looks back at you guys, takes a third one, puts them in your hands. 2 for the other 2. 1 extra for you. Just disappears back into the tortoise again, sliding into the dark with pretty much all of your kill. But this is tribute. This is how it works.
Palpable fear.
One day, Dukan gets the big.
Behind you, you can actually hear the sounds of mice beginning to shuffle about. And you can see one of the hedgehogs on the topmost level, like reach up to the torch that's been burning and just sort of take a handful of powder and throw it in it. And it bursts from its usual crimson flame into a much larger, almost bonfire-like height. We're talking like its usual like small beacon flame to like almost 3 times the height of the actual tortoise. And he just sort of puts the rest of the powder into a little drip mechanism there where it slowly feeds it in. He leans down. So, you ready for open seas? Here it's gonna be a nice smooth ride. You sure you're not gonna kill each other while we're out there?
He's talking to me.
Yes.
Sounds like my brother.
Depends. What else is there to kill?
Well, it's not really much of a seaman myself. That's gonna be one of the other folks. Hey, Clyde! And you can see like a mouse stick his head around, and he's got a bandana on his head. And you can see he's actually got a little hook in one of his hands. He sort of waves. Yeah, what can I do for you? You used to sail on the seas, right? Yeah, just a little bit. Out of Port Sumac for a while. Why? What's there good to kill? Oh, eels, mackerels, minnow, nothing much bigger. At that point, it starts trying to kill you. But if you can kill a tuna, that'll feed like a whole settlement for a season, if you can manage it. But eels are usually safer. The small ones, the baby ones. Big ones, those will eat a mouse whole. Tried once with me. Holds the hook up and just sort of waves it like a little too excitedly. And then goes back to working on the rigging, surprisingly dexterous with a hook.
I almost fucking died.
And the hedgehog just sort of gestures to him openly, like, there you go.
Eels.
Hey, Alex.
What is an eel?
Oh, well, an eel is kind of like, it's like a snake, but it lives in the water. It's covered in mucus. Sometimes they're a little bit toothy. Sometimes they're poisonous. Sometimes they actually are electric. Those are, you don't want to mess with those.
My brow has
Those
just
will
been
literally-
furrowing the more he's been talking. Like with each adjective that he's been ascribing to them, is just like more and more like.
He's fading into the background at this point over the sound of your ambition. Like, the camera's just like panning in on your weasel, getting like a bigger and more intense like look on his face.
I, Dukan Diamondback, will slay Mucus Toothless Snake.
Perfect. Around the corner, you can just hear one of the other mice say, "Did you say mucus tooth?" And we're gonna cut from there to, at the moment, all the way across. Thank you, by the way. I love that. That was awesome. We're going to cut to Sienna.
Mucus tooth snake.
Sienna, did you go to your tortoise last night, or did you crash over at Preston's place on the deck? Because I'm pretty sure after like the party that they had, like there are mice literally just like laying across the deck, asleep, like pillows made of rope and like sail.
I think Sienna, having grown up in a small town, is a little bit proper, for lack of a better word. So she would return back to her dormitory.
All right. So that would be the back of your tortoise, Garo. So Garo, last night would have been probably, honestly, like fast asleep by the time that you got back home. And that would have been a little bit of a problem because they were trying to sort of load him onto a barge in the night, but clearly, like, you do this shit when the tortoise is ready, and the tortoise wasn't ready. So you're probably woken up this morning in part by the whistle and in part by the slow rocking of the tortoise. Your little place to sleep is in the very top section of the caravan, as you can see there. There's like sort of 3 layers of it. There's the side layers, which are just kind of like on the exterior of the turtle's shell. They're largely for like watching, mounting on and off, storing stowage. The second is the deck level, which has the primary sort of room, the common room everyone operates out of. You cook out of there. You store most of your like actual needed possessions on a day-to-day in there. And then on the upper layer, you have an area that's both keeping watch at night and for sleeping you folks, since you sleep in usually groups of 5 or 6. So there's like 6 hammocks up there. And you've been sleeping up there this whole time. And you suddenly wake up to like a slow rocking as the entire earth beneath you moves. And the thuds of Garo moving forward slowly.
Well, I regret having those drinks last night.
If you want, I can have you make a roll to see how inebriated you may still be. After all, that was a pretty strong grog you got. But that is your call if you think that she would drink that much. I will genuinely leave that in your hands. I can practically hear my GM's out being like you're being nice.
Let's go for it.
Okay, cool. So if that's the case then, Sienna, I'm going to want you to do me a favor. And you are going to be making me... let's go with a health roll, a health check. And if you want, you do have 2 ranks in brewer. Take 2 ranks in brewer on there. So health with brewer as a modifier.
You're a brewer, you're a baker, are you also a candlestick maker?
I might be. You'll never know.
Soldier spy. Copyright. So that'd be 6d6 total. Because you got full
Baker, soldier, mouse.
Ooh, not the best roll.
It's a little rough. That is right now, you're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 failures and 1 success, but the 1 success is eaten by one of the traitors, so that's 4 failures.
I just barely made it back on my turtle last night. I was probably swaying and stumbling the whole way there.
Yeah, probably still humming some of the shanties. The guards mice, like, basically drunk screaming last night on the ship. You wake up and you're still feeling the effects. You're not drunk, but you are definitely hungover in that way. It's going to make things suck for a while. You're probably going to need to splash your face with some salt a couple times to start waking up. So, yeah, I'm going to say for now, if you have to make any checks on nature or health, I'm going to make you roll with 1 less die.
Gotcha. That's fair.
But in exchange for being a good sport about that, I'm also going to give you a persona, because I think that's actually a really good moment, and that's what they're made for. Good role play.
Thank you.
So thank you for that.
Horribly drunk.
Yeah. So you wake up feeling pretty inebriated, or at least pretty hungover anyhow, in the hammock. And below you can see the other mice who are not on sleep, on the sleep rotation, shuttling about, getting things ready. You can see Cedric currently pulling a number of tight on the side, seemingly looking like he's a tiny bit green around the gills. He also drank you guys last night, so maybe it was just a bad batch, a little too much. One too many X's. Slowly, Cedric looks up. Oh, Sedney, welcome. Good morning. Can't believe it's morning already. How did you sleep?
Had better nights.
He offers to help you out of the hammock if you'd like.
Very much so.
He clasps a hand and helps pull you out. Steadies you on one of the, there's like ropes that climb up and down for this. The second story only has like a tiny little like ramp to stand on. It's sort of a ridge. And mice naturally climb, so it's not really a big deal for you. But when you're drunk, that's kind of like not having a floor beneath you when you get out of bed and falling a story. That fucking hurts, even if it doesn't really seriously injure you. He sort of like lowers you to the ground and comes down a little bit, losing himself. So, we're getting ready to push off then. It seems like Garrow's mostly set, and he sort of like leans off the edge and just grumbles something in low, deep turtle speak. Garrow slowly turns its head and nods, and the tortoise shifts. Yeah, he seems ready. So, I'm just overseeing the last preparations, and once we get going, the barge should be good. Do you know how to sail?
Oh,
Maybe?
Kev, thank you. One
Oh.
fader person.
Mhm.
Oh, I do.
Good.
Thank you.
Mhm.
We can hold that. We can either hold that in suspension, or we can give it to one person in particular. Your call, Kev.
Thank
Um,
you. Yes.
Oh, I love you, buddy. Yes, he was talking to you.
Me sail. This will actually be my first time on the water.
All right. Well, I've only ever sailed once, and it was on Preston's ship, and I didn't really do too much of it myself, but I got a little primer in. So, I guess the biggest thing is just make sure the mice who do know how to sail stay up, or at very least they rotate out evenly. And he sort of points towards two of them. They actually have like little bandanas around their arms in blue. It's like the ones with the blue cloth, those are the ones that stay up. At least two at a time. Never all three can rotate. And if one of them is injured, they need to stay on rotation, or else we are gonna drift and I can't get us back on track. And Garrow doesn't know how to sail, and Garrow can't sail because he's a tortoise. So, we work with what we got. If you want to, you can feel free to go to any of the other barges. Hopefully we'll be staying close enough where you can swim from barge to barge. If you want, we could set up a rope line to anyone you might want to particularly visit. So, if there's any questions you have, don't hesitate. Other than that, I'm gonna go take a nap. And I'm gonna leave this in your capable hands. Just pats you on the shoulder and pulls himself up into the hammock you left behind.
Away he go.
Instead of realizing that he just wants to get some rest and that's why he's assigning me this duty, Diana's just like, oh, of course, I'm his second in command. It would only make sense. He heard of my bravery in rescuing his cloak. What a wonderful day. I will take these young mice under my wing, and I will make sure that we get there. We do the best sailing that there ever was.
There are a number of tender paws on your ship, on the barge. The interesting thing is your barge has staff that your turtle didn't. From what you can tell, the barges are meant to be kind of a temporary use sort of arrangement. They're meant to shuttle you guys across the ocean, and when you get to where you're going, then you're probably not going to use these again. They'll probably be called back to take the next expedition over, because this is just Expedition 1. When you all settle this place, the next group of colonists and settlers are going to come. And that's going to be where the big waves come in, where it's not just a couple tortoises. It'll probably be 20, 30, 50 tortoises worth of place at a time. Yeah, this is arguably one of the biggest things the Mouse Territories has ever done. Certainly the biggest, I want to say, region-wide project.
How many
Um,
mice are going to be extraditing?
Eventually, because of the sheer amount of growth mouse territories have seen the last few years, most settlements have, like, on average, anywhere from 50 to 500 mice, depending on size, from like township, village, all the way up to the cities. They're all but double their normal population.
Oh.
And they are at the point where if it gets any bigger, they're going to need to start building many more settlements. And that's where you get predators involved. Because the scent border works great, hidden settlements. But a bear seeing a little mouse skyscraper will absolutely fucking kill that shit, no matter how much they can smell their shit. So that's why they're doing this. The weasels are weirdly in a very similar position, actually, because you guys haven't been at active war, and you've been more or less in a stagnated culture as of late. You had a surprisingly low amount of turnover in leadership, and a large number of pups born in the past few years, which means that the Darkheather is also swell. Hence your uncle's ambitions to join this expedition and make a new Darkheather, that he, or at least through you and Modi, will have good, standing. So yeah, we're probably looking at the better part of 2,000-3,000 mice, at least, are going to be making this expedition, and that is wave 1. If this settlement gets bigger, or this region is proper, this new territory is established well, it might be a continuing back and forth mice and trade and commerce. So you're basically establishing a whole trade route between nations. You're building a nation and starting again. This is literally the founding of the colonies in the Americas, or the European powers. It's that level of expansion.
Mass migration.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Christopher Columbus without the racism.
Yeah, without the racism, genocide, and also all the smallpox blankets.
All the other bad stuff that came with that.
Yes.
If we encounter indigenous populations, we'll be friends.
That actually is a possibility. Truth be told, the mouse territories are the only truly settled parts of the region. They're the only parts that life is normal. Beyond that, there is most assuredly mice, and weasels, and hedgehogs, and all other sapient. But no one's really charted it, or knows what goes on beyond the scent border. It's that dangerous. Even weasels that live within it, or live beyond it, they live largely in the dark. They don't like to come onto the surface without good reason. And for them, for you, it might as well be going out of the space shuttle into outer space. It is dangerous. You would go in groups. You would fight, get what you want, come back. So there's a reason why after they conquered the mice within the territories during the Weasel War, you took the bodies down into the deep along with all your prisoners. You didn't leave them in your settlements. You can't account for what might come along with that level of bloodshed. So you don't know what's out there. You could come across entire civilizations. So, reeling it back in, though, our little focus, I'm going to say, Sienna, you can actually see that you have about 4 to 5 tender paws on your ship, which is about average. Usually it's 2 to 3 tender paws or so to every 2 to 3 patrol mice. Usually each patrol would have 1 tender paw, but there's a lot of conscripts here in this expedition, so you have your pick of the litter. You can feel free to attempt to mentor any of them. They seem like they're, I'm going to say, make me a roll to determine the level of morale you're dealing with. Let's say, instructor. You have a rank in instructor.
Right.
You can tie that to, let's go with instructor, just base instructor.
Hey. Success.
Awesome. That's great. So you take a look around. A large number of them know what they're doing, but you can see one particular one that looks like they are fresh out of Port Sumac. They know how to launch a ship, so they're actually one of the folks with a little blue band. And they know what they're doing with that. But in terms of all the other mice running around with long cloaks, the clearly proper guard, this dude has this little ragged thing that was likely given to him by his family, and it's held in place by a literal just iron ring that got bent through it, so he can't even take it off. It's not actually a cloak pin. The cloak is one piece just put out over his little mousy head whenever he wants to take it on and off. He seems kind of lost around all the other guards mice and a little intimidated. Every once in a while you see one be like, "Hey, can I ask?" "Okay, it's fine, bye." And they literally just don't stop to engage him. It's not that they're trying to be rude, they're just too damn busy.
I love
So-
him already, and I will protect him with every every fiber in my body.
So we're gonna go from you looking at this new perspective, mentorship, over to Giles. Giles, my friend, it was a night of celebration, as it always is in your house last night. But I imagine you probably have a little bit more control over things, at least when you're involved.
Oh yeah, no, Giles doesn't drink. He drinks a lot. But so yeah, no, he does not really care about the crew getting raucous or anything like that. He just sort of expects that out of these guys, and honestly, who the hell are going to tell him to stop? I'm
True.
just saying, wet blankets get thrown overboard, hence the wet part. So in the morning, like, dare I say early in the morning, like 5-ish, Giles is gonna start like rousing everybody, like even before you hear like that loud whistle, and he's gonna start rousing everybody, and everybody's just gonna start like going about the deck, like seeing what they can do to help out, and they're gonna start singing shanties, as it were.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so Red, I did want to ask you this actually, because I have named every other tortoise so far. We haven't named yours. So if you want to choose a name for the tortoise, by all means, I would not be averse to that. I would get my to take it.
I wish I saved one of those like 3,000 names I put on the last stream.
Just a thought. You can feel free to give me one whenever you're ready. No rush. I just realized, like, oh shit, you're on your own separate, like, tortoise. You're gonna need a name for that one. So let me know if you think about it. I'll write that bad boy down.
I keep thinking of Shelly. I'm like, that's the dumbest fucking shit. I will think of one.
That's fair. No rush. We don't need to work. We don't need to rush into Shelly or Sheldon. That's not necessary.
Don't be shellfish. But how are the new recruits doing amongst the populace, as it were?
That is an excellent question. So let's talk about that. Let's see what you've got for ye characters. Your ye character sheet. I'm gonna say that. Right, I need the one that actually isn't just the R. I need the actual character sheet. There we go. Make me a. Oh man. I'm gonna say because of the fact that you're so. Oh, you have instructor. Roll instructor.
Yes.
That's actually the perfect thing for this.
I'm very
Well,
instructive.
And while you do, I'm gonna pipe in and Odie answer your question since you did just ask. What do mice drink or drunk? Tasty ale, exquisite wine. Yeah, 100%. It depends on your socioeconomic stats. They'll drink everything from bad grain ale to like exquisite wine to even other things.
I'm letting them get their drink on for the evening because they're not drinking at all during the voyage.
Not to mention, also, this is very much a Iron Age setting, and alcohol has a very useful property. It doesn't get infected with parasites and shit from water supplies. Not to mention, a lot of mice also use alcohol as a basis for medication as a result. So there's a lot of elixirs and cures that are literally just straight up pure.
And I respect that.
That's why having a brewer is like having a medic. It's super useful.
True.
Good to know.
People are like, oh, they got drunk on ships because it's grog. No, there was like a trace amount of alcohol in the water supply just to keep it from going bad. And they put a little bit of lime in it because they need vitamin C so they don't
fight scurry.
You know.
Fight scurry, yeah.
And they used to have lemons before the Spaniards cut off Britain's lemon supply, and that's how British earned the nickname of limeys. I am not even kidding.
I did not know that.
You
I
what?
love that.
You what, mate? I'm not a limey. I like lemons.
So you're
I
saying
also
it's
like
not
how
offensive to call them limey?
Not.
I mean,
really.
the context might have changed over the past couple hundred
No,
years.
it's just
like
a
an-
historical L
Oh,
that they
yeah.
took, and they handed out so many L's that if they can't fucking take it, then
I guess
don't
that's
know what to
fair.
tell
If you're a
you.
colonizer, you can't really be too choosy.
It's how
Like,
L's you got to take Euro.
Yeah, fucking. I'm not gonna say it though, just in case.
I
That's like
also
other
will say
historical
I am
context.
debating calling mouse scurvy scurry because I keep slurring it, so I'm just going to
Oh,
call it
that's cute.
scurry.
Slurry.
They call it scurry.
Yeah,
They call it the
'Cause it's-
scurry.
It's scurry.
Very scary. Teeth fall out, no good.
No,
No, you don't have many to begin with.
I didn't know scurvy did that.
Yeah, scurvy causes your gums to turn black and your teeth eventually fall
Yeah,
out.
it's malnutrition. It's really fun.
I knew it was malnutrition. I just didn't know it made that happen.
No, it's fun stuff. You should try it sometime. But
Oh yeah, but that's my next diet. I just eliminate all.
You'll lose weight, that's for sure. Just maybe not the way you want.
I only drink salt water, and
Now I'm imagining a celebrity on the red carpet, and they're like, "How do you look so good?" It's called scurvy.
you have like wild eyes, and you like open your mouth to talk. You have these black gums. Scurvy.
Alrighty, Chief.
Sorry,
Make
I
me
need
an
to get off
instructor
track.
Sure, yeah. So,
No, it's cool. I actually love these little world building moments. Mouse Guard is awesome because it is surprisingly historically accurate in ways to how an Iron Age society would function. It's so weird that these little mice that have to accommodate for things like an infection literally your entire person in short order without careful treatment.
I have a rating of 2 in instructor, so that'll be 2 dice.
Correct.
3 and a 4, so
It's one success. Yeah.
yeah, good.
You don't have any traitors, so you don't lose any successes. So, that's still a success. I'm gonna say. So, that's enough. Given your prior history with these folks, the new recruits are kind of. It's a 50-50 with these ones. They're not really used to your people. They just got on last night, so like the drinking helped. Clearly, there's no hard feelings, and honestly, a couple of the Wolfram mice seem to be kind of impressed they actually managed to survive a couple minutes in the ring with you, metaphorically. That's actually kind of impressive to them. Granted, they know you weren't really trying to go in for the kill immediately, but still, like, they're like, yeah, it's kind of nuts. You held your ground for that long. Well done. Most folks don't keep their wits about them when our Lord comes charging at them with a broadsword, screaming his litanies. So there's not really any animosity there. It's just a matter of they're not used to this. They do live in Port Sumac, so they're familiar with the coming and going of ships. But Wolfram is a totally different culture than even most mice would encounter. And in this case, the people of Port Sumac know of Wolfram. It is a small trade colony of theirs, but they know about as much of that as your standard British person would know about the culture of, say, South Carolina. Like, not much. So it's a bit of culture shock.
Are you telling me
trying.
that British don't know about the great state, Carolina?
Fair. Let me rephrase that. I imagine it's about the level of understanding that colonial Spain had for the port of St. Augustine. Probably not much, honestly. Considering they kept trying to fucking build the same fort again. Anyway.
Because everybody knows the history of Carolina. Like, we don't need to.
Yeah, no, of course. Every American knows the history of Carolina.
Did
Everyone
you take
remembers about
Carolina
things
history?
that-
I'm a bit of a Carolinian myself, so yeah.
It was my second my undergrad degree is what it was. I had to take a second, you know.
I majored in Carolina history.
Where's Carolina?
That's probably a
That's a great
thing.
question, Odie.
It's on the eastern
On the
seaboard.
East Coast. Yeah, Eastern Seaboard, midway up. And
There's 2 of
Oh,
them.
you really did major in it.
don't ask me any more about South Carolina.
What's the capital?
Racism? Oh, sorry, I thought you were asking me. My bad.
We love you, South Carolinian viewers, but
Charlotte.
also, you know,
Carolina
Yeah.
Junior, that's what the capital's called.
Carolina Junior, Carolina Prime, of course.
Carolina Prime. That's
So,
my next Mac name for Lansing.
Hey,
Anyway.
Albrio plays. Welcome. How you doing? Nice to have you on.
Welcome in.
So, Red, you see these two folks are kind of floundering. They're still not quite used to it. I am going to say after last night, they have been given the Wolfram required like gear. So before the end of the night last night, a couple of your fellow guards mice, under your command, went up to the top. They got cloth to make them kilts. They got them like the proper like gear to get themselves a good cloak, and they also got them some swords. But these are folks used to daggers, and now they've got this long sword that they both kind of like looking at like, you know, the swords are currently sitting sheathed inside of the tortoise, like in an alcove, not carried on their person, unlike many of the other mice that you group, who tend to walk around armed, oftentimes.
It's literally like an accessory. It's like a handbag.
Yeah,
You know?
I mean, considering where you live on the frontier, you might need it at any time. So,
You know, you might need to chop a tree down or
yeah,
something like that.
try to like save your kids from a flying squirrel or something. You know,
You know,
Like an immutable
dig a hole. You know,
yeah,
sword's a multi-tool. You know, you can do a lot of things with it. Pick your teeth.
intimidate your neighbors. Like, there's all sorts of useful tools.
Eat.
Yeah, sure up.
Imagine fucking like stick that picture on the internet of somebody using Frostmourne to like cut their steak.
Oh God.
So he's gonna walk up to them and see them looking a bit like,
Albert.
I was about to say mousy, a bit like anxious, and he's gonna just like put a hand on his hip. He still has a sword over his shoulder, like there's gonna be something coming like flying fucking down for him to have to use the sword. It's more of a statement, really.
Right.
So you're getting to know everybody good.
Oh, yeah. The sister speaks up, and you can see the brother kind of like immediately the second you speak up. He's still like a little bit recovering. He did take a bit of a fall. So he's got one of his arms a little bandaged up from the fight. So he's nursing a little. He sort of like fades behind his sister, who naturally interposes herself between you and the brother, at least a little bit. Seems like old habits die hard. Yeah, no, they've been really kind. Although it is going to take a little getting used to. She gestures down at the kilt that she's wearing. This, not used to this.
Good blaze, huh?
Yeah, no, absolutely agreed. It definitely breathes, 100%.
Oh, stop being a kiss artist. You can tell me your actual opinion on it.
It's fine. I don't mind it, but it's kind of cold. A little bit off the ocean, and it's blowing up the flaps.
It'll remind you that you're alive.
Guess you're right. And she sort of like pulls the cloak around. So it's been worse, but. So, what'll you have us do, Captain? We're not really as well versed in what you all do in the Mouse Guard, and we kind of want to earn our keep if we can.
Well, back in my day, we used to have actual boats, not just big old fucking hunks of wood that are flat. But, I don't really got a poop. We don't technically got a stern. You know, you can just sweep. Keep the thing clean. I know we take on water every now and then, but, you know, if there's any sorts of, detritus or debris, I learned that word recently. I recommend just, if you see something you can do it.
Aye, sir. Make sure it's done. And they both kind of like give you a little salute and start scattering around the deck. You can see one of them starts like immediately starts scooping mud off, tossing it into the bay. They're trying, that's for sure. There's the heart's there. The brains are gonna catch up eventually. But you can tell if there is a fight or if there's anything that might like happen. They're gonna be the weak point in your, at least until they're brought up to speed.
Yeah, and he realizes that. He doesn't expect them to just be like instantly trained or automatically knowing what they're doing, and he kind of expects his crew to sort of help them out.
That's fair. Actually, no, we'll stick on this one. Sorry about that. I'm going to say that this sort of like, as you all get your preparations for the morning done, eventually the whistle sounds again, and all the boats in the harbor push off at once. Sort of in a nice, like, they're positioned themselves so when they push off, they'll drift naturally into a double line and begin to head out. Led at the very front, you can see by not one of these admittedly impressive barges, but instead by an actual ship. This one being the Invicta with its water screws currently going. Moving at a surprisingly quick clip. and you can hear the crew from the distance. All the crews are cheering. You can hear off to the sides. You can see all the mice of Port Sumac are waving, and some of them throwing favors at the boats as they go by. They seem very happy with the expedition finally mobilizing and also getting the hell out of their port so they can get back to trade. So you can tell there's like a double-edged celebration here. It's, well, this is going to be awesome, a new moment for history. Also, get the fuck out so we can do business. Have a great day. And you all begin to head out to Ocean. I'm going to have all of you make me, oh man, I'm going to say a health roll for this one, because none of you are used to Ocean yet. Not one of you. So make me those health rolls.
I'm a healthy mouse. Should be fine.
Mm-hmm.
Fine.
And also let me know if any of you guys need to take a break. We've been going for about an hour, so after this roll, we're fine with that.
Maybe so. Because there's something weird with my character sheet that I probably need to ask about. I mean, it'd be better to do it on a break.
Sure thing, no problem. We can do that.
Okay.
All right. We will get with the results of this roll, and we'll be good. So that's a 50. Okay, Red, you're fine. Your character is the open ocean calls, and seasickness doesn't have any purchase on your. Sienna. Let's see. You rolled 2 5s and a 3. You're doing great, actually. Your character seems like they're fine.
I have been subtracted 1 dice, like you said, for my health. So,
Awesome. Yeah,
despite it all, my newfound project gives me strength.
Indeed. And honestly, the hangover kind of stops once you start getting some of that salt water in your face. So you're feeling pretty good.
Nothing
Derek.
some fresh air can't cure.
Yeah,
Very
that's
true.
what I needed to ask you about. My health says 1, and I figured that can't be right.
Yeah, we're going to fix that. So let's pop off stream we'll take a pause, and we'll get right back to it. So folks, thank you so much. We'll be right back.
Somni, what's happening, my friend?
Excellent. So, we need to find out what your role is now that we have addressed the fact that I'm not allowed near a mouse wheel near the character sheet.
I got a bad roll.
Oh, geez, yes, you did.
My
Tukan,
goodness. My
you have
goodness.
spent all of your life with solid land beneath your legs. In fact, the one time you've ever been on a boat was briefly during the Hedrum War. There was, by war, I mean the battle, the Hedrum battle. There was a single battle in the Hedrum War. Let's be clear on that. But they still call it a war anyway. And so you were on a small, tiny barge fording across a river. And by calling it a barge, I mean like literally a dude with stick pushing a platform across a river with about 10 other weasels. And you still felt like you wanted to barf your fucking guts out. And now that you're on an actual barge at sea with tides and ocean, you suddenly realize some things don't change with age. And yeah, Nausea is going to be an old friend of yours for a little bit. So you're going to be rolling your health rolls and nature rolls at -1, as you are maybe regretting the tadpole.
Now swimming in stomach.
It could go good. One of the mice on board on board the turtle sort of leans over. Are you all right? That looks like a lot of. I can't tell if it's just that you're a lot bigger than me, but that was a lot, and there was legs. Are you okay?
Water.
Can you get him some water? And the mouse with the little hook hand comes running with a bucket of fresh water, puts it down next to you. It's like.
I just
gonna
spit it
ask
back
if you
up all
get
over
caught.
the mice.
Gross.
Water.
Oh my god!
And then I like lean back on the railing and kind of like fall on my ass and just kind of like, if you've ever been hungover, this is exactly what it feels like to be seasick. I'm just like in a daze, just like trying to seek coolness somewhere and just splayed out on the railing in the shade.
You're like that scene from Trailer Park Boys where he's fucking stumbling out of the trailer. Trying to remember the name of that guy.
So right now, I'm going to say that it's about, give or take, 7 a.m. Like, it was, Red, you got your crew about an hour awake before everything started happening. So you had about an hour's jump. So about 7 a.m., the sun's starting to crest in the horizon. You're starting to get some serious light coming in, which means there's a lot of shade, thankfully. You can either choose behind one of the sails, but also the most tantalizing place you can see on the barge that isn't like near a giant turtle, in this case in particular, Suddenly's not so judgmental gaze, thankfully, would be in the back of the barge. There's actually this tiny, adorable little house. It's largely a shack. You can tell it's for whoever's like running the barge. It's not really a wheelhouse so much as just like a stowage room. As most of the steering seems to be done exclusively on sail on this vessel. Just the way it has to be because of the size and scope of what it's carrying. And so, that's big enough for a weasel, if you want. At least you won't be outside staring at the sea rolling by. You can actually look at the interior wall.
We're just gonna like have you ever seen somebody like use the dance move the worm to like navigate somewhere? It's like that, but without the grace or elegance. Just inching myself, like going up with my noodle body and then out with my noodle body and then like in with my noodle body. Yeah, inchworming across the deck.
That's cursed.
So Dukan, you kind of just like grumbling, stomach rolling, like scooch your way into the back room, and you can see one of the mice coming out and just like, so I just counted our grain counts and oh no! Like scoot sideways, you scoot in.
Wait.
Just like lets you walk by. It's like they're friends. They're friends. They're friends, and he just like walks out, like breathing this mantra to himself as he closes the door behind him. And inside you can
gently.
see... Do you, I dare ask, do you need a bucket? Or a trough? We can get you a
Two.
trough.
One with water.
Sure. Shit, the water's in there. The water's to the... Let me get you a bucket first. And, like, you can see he runs back, and behind you is, like, this big... It's a big wooden barrel.
I
It
just
doesn't have a... yeah, you
Dunk
can
my
pop the
head
top off. It's made for a mouse,
I just
but,
dunked
like,
my
it's a
head
big
in.
enough cistern for everyone to boat for a couple of days. There, you can see there's, like, another one that they fill up with seawater. They let the seawater dry out. They have a series of tubes that go into the third. So, like, they can render fresh water from salt water at a time.
I'm
But,
currently
yeah.
soaking my head.
A couple seconds go by and the mouse comes back in, like, the largest bucket he can carry, which is about, like, roughly the size of his body. Just takes one look, like, okay, so I've got the... Oh, it's our drinking water. Just puts the barrel on the corner and pushes it towards you. I'm gonna go. I feel ill now. And he just, like, walks out and closes the door behind him. Quietly this time.
That's so
Cowling
creepy.
loud.
I'm not on the same barge as him, am I?
No, the weasel
Thank
barge
God.
is separate. You are, however, in close formation. So the barge that Sedney is on, that Garo is on, and then our third hitherto unnamed Wolfram tortoise is on, are flying in basically like, or sailing in a V formation towards the front. You're on one of those wings, and at the very peak would be the Invicta, and on the other side would be the Matriarch's ship, as well as also one other member, one other turtle, whose name and you're not familiar with, but you do see on the back of it is a large, what appears to be nest. The top layer on some of these tortoises is sort of modular, something swapped out for purpose. And in this particular one, you can see there are 3 birds, songbirds, in partial barding, hanging out on the back, chirping with riders, and also what appears to be a series of flags, which likely indicate a weather watcher. Also, the highly colorful dress of the weather watcher is quite visibly at a great distance. Bright yellow and green and red, in like almost jester-like pattern, like across the body. So you can tell that you guys are kind of on the exterior wing of that formation. So yeah, if you want to, you actually can jump from ship to ship pretty easily. Like, it's close enough where you could put gangplanks across. So then, what is everyone going to be doing? Besides Derek, I know for the fact that your character is completely trying to not die and turn their insides into their outsides. So
Why did
I'm
I
gonna
eat so many tadpoles?
they're all green when they come back up. They were black when they went down. I am going to say that, like, we're going to say this first section of, like, downtime, your character is going to be resting it off. They will feel better in a little time. You just got to acclimate to being on open, and the seasickness will hopefully abate. If not, they will 100% get quinine for you, because they don't want a weasel barfing their organs all over the interior of the boat. That is not going to go well. So we're going to turn to both Giles and Sienna. What are you two doing with the first portion of your day? We'll assume like a couple of hours you have. And do not feel like you have to be confined to this boat. Like I said, you can gangplank to gangplank anywhere in the fleet.
I absolutely want to go and befriend the little mouse with his tattered cloak that I fully intend on upgrading at some point,
I love it.
as he probably deserves.
Okay. So let me just get my little notepad out here for Mouse Guard. Look through here. Okay, excellent. So, we'll start with you then. So, as you've been watching the mice go about their day, you can see this old guy's trying. He's pretty new at it. He's pretty young. I'm willing to say, like, most Mouse Guard, they start pretty young. They start as apprentices. And you can tell this is an apprentice mouse who just want to be part of the expedition. Artisans are needed. like necessary skill sets need to go, and sometimes the young are the best suited for this task, as opposed to a master who might be better served staying behind and training a new generation of craftsfolk than risking the master in open sea where they might die. So in this case, the young goes. You can tell he's probably likely a trained boatswain, but whether or not he's actually going to do much of that at this point. You catch him currently working on one of the sails. He's currently hoisting on the ropes. It's a really rudimentary setup. The whole thing is literally just rope, a single notch of wood to wrap it around, and behind it you can see there's a section that is like a full-on pulley. You can pull the excess in so it doesn't just flop all over the deck and trip mice. And you can see he's just kind of hanging out by the ropes, sort of self-isolating from everyone else. He doesn't see you approach. He's not really looking at the deck. He's looking at the sails. Oh, and I'm going to make you make a weather watching because you're a weather watcher. And,
I am.
It has to happen every day when you're out at sea. So let's see what we got.
I walk over intending to talk to him, but I'm like, Alan, what's up with those clouds?
Yeah, it's just natural. It's just a thing you do. Okay,
Not bad.
pretty solid, actually. So the 6 and the 1 cancel each other out. That is 2 successes. So,
Alright.
yeah, I imagine... what type of weather would you like it to be? You can make it positive, for the record, but you do have control over the weather for the next day, at least to a
I
degree.
think it's a nice, clear, bright day. Enough sparse, non-rain holding clouds, floating around, helping, cast some shade, so it's not unbearably hot or anything.
All right. Yeah, that seems perfectly reasonable. So yeah, nice, shady, comfortable day.
Good day for sailing.
Partially cloudy. There we go.
That's fair. Yeah, nice. Not overcast, but yeah, partly cloudy. No real rain clouds in the sky. There's a nice, steady breeze giving you guys. Thankfully, it's not against the wind. You're sailing with the wind. So, yeah, perfect day for sailing. It looks like it's going to be like that all day. Probably, hopefully, for the next couple of days. Fingers crossed. Back to you.
Well,
Awesome.
that's kind of what I say. Oh. Thank you for reminding me of that.
Yes, don't forget to mark passes and failures on your rolls, folks, because that is how you advance.
Oh, I need to do that for my health.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I didn't even realize that you could do that.
Mm-hmm. That's how you all get better.
I think I'm working.
All right.
But I'm an old man.
Well,
How can my health get better?
you could get stronger.
I'm in my withering age, TM.
Are you like 30? Your
Yeah,
character, not you.
So it's gone all downhill, 25.
Oh, that's a huge move, buddy.
I'm not there yet. I'll let you know when I get there.
I'm old.
You're old.
Oh, God.
Because you're old.
That's one of my favorite episodes of SpongeBob.
So, what do you do with what do you do with this young lad staring out of the ocean? Steve?
Probably, kind of nonchalantly walk up, lean out on the railing a little bit and say, good weather for sailing.
The mouse kind of starts a little bit and turns and notices you there. Oh, yeah, it's beautiful out, actually. Usually don't sail this far from port, but if it holds, we'll be fine, I think. The ship's sails are doing okay, and he just sort of sighs. Can I be honest? I'm out of things to do. It's a barge. The sails are set, going in the right direction. The wind is pulling it fine. There's no rudder to man, there's no second story, and the stowage is all away. I'm bored. I have no idea what to do. I don't want to look like a loafer in front of the patrol mice.
I put my arm on his shoulder in a friendly manner. Hey, let me let you in on a little secret. No one here knows what they're doing. We're all just, taking it day by day, making sure things run smoothly. I mean, we know what we're doing to, an extent. I don't mean to worry you.
A little bit of relief does cross his face when you say that. Like, his eyebrows were raising, and then you say, we know we're doing, we're just... And he goes, oh, it's a metaphor, okay. Like...
we just continue to learn and improve and do better each day. Just like you will. Take it from me. I used to just be a baker. Now, look at me. I'm second in command.
You're right. Mind if I ask your name?
Diana.
Sienna? And I'm just gonna flip back here because we got like a giant master list of mouse names, which is actually pretty useful.
Nice.
Go with my name is Thom. A pleasure to meet you. Thom of Port Sumac. That'll be Thom. I love that name. It sounds so awesome. Sumac.
Pleasure to meet you as well, Tom.
He shakes your hand. And goes, so, then mind if I ask a couple questions of you, since I guess it's okay to rest a little bit then, to relax?
Go right ahead.
He nods and sort of like sits himself against the ropes that are like curling up behind him. Sort of like almost halfway leaning off the boat. Like, clearly he's used to this. So, mind if I ask, what got you into the Mouse Guard? Because I joined from my family. They said we both swing to be useful in Port Sumac, and I just had to serve with the Mouse Guard. I'd end up here half the time. And, well, they are idiots, and they didn't know what they were talking about, because I haven't been back to Port Sumac for about a couple of days.
See. Well, I had a family back home, see, but fortunately, they are not here anymore, so didn't feel like staying in the same place with the memories. I'd kind of rather not get too into it.
That's fair. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to ask a local question.
No problem.
So then, if I can ask a slightly easier question, what do you want to do in the Mouse Guard? Do you have aspirations? Like, is this going to be kind of adventure? Okay.
Of course. I've seen what a stable life looks like, living day to day, doing the usual.
I'm not gonna find that here.
I wanted to taste a different life.
Well, that does sound like a nice thing. And, well, if we get there, it's definitely going to be one. Sort of gestures to the open ocean ahead. And, and obviously the land well beyond it, you can't see from here. The curvature of the earth from your perspective is so vast. There's, for if it were a human, for the record, you probably could see the other side. But, for a mouse, it might as well be for if that's the case, then. So you say you're second in charge, then, behind Cedric. I wasn't aware we had a second patrol leader on the boat.
I mean, maybe not so officially, but he assigned me watch as he tends to other important duties.
Your eyes can't help but dart to the top of the tortoise, where you can see the hammock you were in gently rocking back and forth, and a tail like slightly flopping back and forth in sleep. It's clearly Cedric's. The mouse nods. I'm gonna make you me, and this could be
You
interesting.
make me.
Yes. I'm gonna make you roll me a. To eventually make this. I'm just saying, make me a persuader roll for this one. They're basically trying to instill confidence in this kid. So, in fact, you can do persuader or instructor again. You are pretty close to growing in persuader. You have higher ranks in there. So
Yeah, let's go with that.
okay.
Nice.
Reroll.
I can use a persona.
You can.
Let's
You
go
can
ahead.
Turn
and...
that
Use as
one
many as you'd
into
like.
5. Turn that 1 into 5.
Oh no.
Oh no, it's going the other way. It's going the other way.
Okay. No, I'm not as subtle as I think.
It's happening again.
So as you talk to Thumb, like, you can tell he's listening. He's also doing a little bit of that head nod of like, right, yeah, gotcha. Like, he's starting to wonder if he's talking to the right person about this. Not anything against you, but definitely like, he's starting to wonder really how much seniority we're actually dealing with here. It's kind of more like peer-to-peer conversation. He's being nice enough about it. In fact, you know what? I'm not even sure your character's picked up on that. That was like triple failures, and 2 of them were traitors. So, like, your character thinks you're doing a grand old job, given this
God,
dude's instruction.
He's learning so much. I'm the best teacher ever. He's gonna walk away being a better mouse guard for this.
I'm definitely going to say your character feels confident in having laid the strong groundwork for future collaboration with this mouse.
Probably just babbling incoherently. Just like, and that's why if you keep your head up and your shoulders square and you eat a good meal, you're gonna have a good time. You're gonna do
thrush
fine.
in the hand is worth 2 in the bush. I heard that somewhere, and it's supposed to mean something.
What does it mean? Don't have a fucking clue. But
If you find a
but
book,
you
let
two
me
can
know.
be. Yeah, but you two can be happy in your career, is what I got from that.
There might be small birds in it that we could eat. That's what I got.
So yeah, he nods along and quietly listens, and eventually he sort of like pulls himself off the ropes. Well, thank you, Sienna. That was very helpful. I feel a little bit more at ease. I'm going to see if I can't rotate out to bunk time. I'm starting to get onto that part, so I'll see you in a bit.
Yeah, you come to me anytime you need advice. I got you. I will be here for you.
I promise I will. Absolutely. You've got it. And he literally does like a little mouse finger gun and starts walking away as he does. And he then, as soon as he gets far away, begins to like do the little mouse run on top of Garo and go up into the top section. You can see another bunk fills and another mouse quickly is vacated. We're gonna flip from you over to Giles. So Giles, what you up to, Chief?
well, since my boys are doing a grand old boys and girls, I don't want to be discriminatory. Are doing a bang-up job. I don't really see much reason to stay here and supervise. So Giles is gonna go over to the other ships and see if everybody's doing their job.
Okay, awesome. So the gangplank's lower, and you can start crossing over from one tortoise to another. You're not quite. You're, I'd say, probably like on the outer edge of this delta, this flying V, and so the next one is actually going to be the Weasel barge. because they don't want that on the edge of the formation. That sounds like a great way for weasels to steal a barge. Again, there's trust issues here with that. Yeah. Yarr, this be a new kind of high adventure. They call me Jukan, terror of the seas. They call me Barfbeard.
Nice.
So
They call me Old Spit Up.
yeah. It's just a little baby yak on the inside of me fur. It's fine.
I go black, and then it's all over the place.
Oh, thank you, Neris. I needed that. So, you have the weasel one ahead. Further in, you have even the tortoises going inward. Honestly, they probably would have had your expedition, the Wolfram expedition, on the outskirts of this delta, just because if the weasels do go rogue, they want, in fact, mice who they know are men at arms, or folk at arms, who can defend against a weasel attack across the expedition. And since basically you're playing babysitters unofficially to them, yeah, you'd be the ones on the outside. So weasels, further in you keep going. Make me a... let's take a walk on the wild side here. I want to see you make me, if I can get the right one. Come on, one day you'll open up my character sheets. Thank you. Make me a scout roll. Don't have you can make nature. That'll be fine.
Nature it is. Nice. Oh lord.
Oh, no.
Oh boy.
That's a bad, right?
That's 2 traitors and a success. Wow, that was a nice belch.
But that's
pardon me.
it's you don't want to fail nature rolls, right?
They so a failed nature roll temporarily deducts your nature. It does make you less mouse-like for a while. But you do still get like a check in your failure. You can eventually increase your nature that way, so it shakes out in the end. So that is a failure. You kind of like cast your long gaze across the expedition, and you can see all the tortoises in like a double, triple stacked chevron formation sailing together. And a lot of the barges are almost tied together by rope because of how close they are. Like some of them just don't want to deal with the gangplank, so they just have mice going back and forth. And you think to yourself, you know who could use guidance? The lead ship. They could sure as shit use a strong guiding hand. And so, like, you make your way towards the Invicta at the front of the ship, at the front of the fleet, where you can see on the deck of it, Preston's running a pretty tight ship. Things seem like they're going pretty smoothly on there. Doesn't mean you can't get yourself involved. So you cross a number of decks until eventually you reach the deck of the Invicta, and one of the crew members just shouts, "Officer on deck! Lord of Wolfram! Master Giles!" And you can see like the crew nearby, like all sort of like straighten and turn, and then just like a couple of them nod. Because you did help save their ship a little while back. A couple of them wave, and Preston, from the top deck, sort of looks down at you. This certainly wasn't what I was expecting, but not saying no to some visitors. And he pushes himself off the top deck and comes to a little landing in front of you, not without any small amount of, like, obviously maybe being a little over the top. Like, clearly he fell in a way that his cape billowed behind him as he did so. This is a man who prides himself on his entrance. Slowly rises up. "Well, Lord of Wolfram, what brings you to my lovely ship?"
It's like smack his mouse lips and just have a look around.
There's a couple of mice who are like, some of them are drinking on the job. A couple of them are like managing the ship. Most of them seem to be doing their jobs, but they're nowhere near as precise as yours. They seem to be much more relaxed and laid back.
Drinking on the job.
Slowly turns and looks towards some of his crew. "Oh, I let him do it occasionally. You know, it's keeps things easy for him. A little bit."
No. You can't let that happen. What if there's a storm and all your men are shit-faced?
Oh,
What if there's a beastie that comes up on port starboard and your guy's, drunk? No. Sober him up, or I'll do it.
Make me. Oh, this is a good one, actually. I really like this. Oh my god, I actually love this. I didn't expect this, but I'm loving it. Alright, let's have you make me. Just say. I didn't look like the card captain. Make me a your choice of persuader or instructor. Your call. This will be an opposed roll with Preston roll.
Persuader or instructor? Well, instructor's gonna be the one I'm gonna take.
Okay. Go with that. This is opposed by Will.
Will,
Gimme,
how
gimme.
can you betray us?
Okay, so I need to roll. Well, we both have a success right now.
Yeah, you both have one success. No traitors so
So
far.
this is a roll up.
So yeah, this will be a roll off.
Interesting.
Interesting.
Okay.
Oh,
That's
No
beautiful.
success. It is. That's straight. That's flat zero.
Oh no!
It's all,
Flat
another
zero
roll off.
again.
Can I
Damn.
get ball back?
Yeah, what I'm seeing in my mind right now is the anime stare down with like the energy, like the invisible energy bolt, like going back and forth between the two of them.
100%. This is two alpha mice staring each other down like, whoever gives here is gonna set the tone for the rest of our relationship. Like,
Better than. Oh
ooh, okay, he's going. He's going to war with this one.
Nani?
Omewa Shinderu.
Okay, so one success versus 4. You need to check that one down as a failure.
I should have fucking added a die earlier when I had the chance.
You still can, for the record, if you want, add persona
Oh.
dice at will. There's nothing stopping you.
Oh, okay,
You
well, I'm gonna
burn
go
all your
back.
persona.
I'm gonna go back where he got a flat 0, and I'm gonna spend some persona though.
Okay, you know what? I'm actually okay with that. If you want to, you can totally do that.
Yes, I'm gonna roll a d6. There we go.
All right, that's fair. So,
Yeah, ninny.
to narratively style this out, you two literally just sort of like narrow your eyes at each other, full well aware that you are questioning a captain on his ship, a commander of men. He is not doing a good job leading his men. And he narrows his eyes back, realizing that you are challenging him on his ship about his own men. That this is way the fuck out of, like, this is off base, 100%. This is unprofessional. But you're saying it with such conviction. And there is a little merit to what you're saying. Like, letting some
There's
of
a
the crew
lot of merit to what he's saying.
yeah. This guy's used to running his crews as privateers, and as a result, like, you know, you got some strong union rules on this ship, basically, and that means the odd drinking, like, the odd drink is like, totally allowed. But yeah, they do hit their liquor a lot. So Preston like looks at you, one eye behind like the eye patch obscured, slowly raises the eye patch so you can see the other eye, still squinting. Lowers it again. I might have a point. Hey, lads! And you see like a couple of the nearby mice who are like drinking out of the bucket. Like, hey, yeah, Cap. Put corks in them. Put them back. What? But we're not while we're open sea. Bad idea. When we get into inland, warm rivers, we're not too worried about it. I don't care. Out here, there's too much that can go wrong. He's right about it. And they just kind of like look at the bottles and look at Preston. You get this like little heartbroken look on their face, like, oh no, we can't drink anymore. And like they sort of like, oh, yes, Captain. They begin walking to the back, nursing their bottles. One of them sort of shoots you like a little bit of like a nervous gaze.
I'm gonna give him the stank eye, as we call it.
He immediately just like clutches the bottle and like walks off quickly. Mark that as a success. Well done. So Preston turns and nods. It takes a special degree, balls to get onto a man's ship. Tell him how to handle his crew. Even more when you're right. You know they don't mind it being wrong. So, Thanks. And he extends a paw.
He'd take his paw, or more so like the upper part of his arm. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's,
I figured it was like a forearm shake.
and he'd lean in real close and get real close to his ear. I didn't do it for you. And he'd very brusquely brush past him and start walking across the deck.
Chris just sort of like lets it happen and just he has this look on his face like, "Are you fucking kidding?" And just like turns around and watches you walk away. Huh. And just like walks back onto the towards the deck and heads towards the upper layer. So that is one ship that is a little better for your leadership, sir.
Real lack of professionalism. Not gonna let that happen again. But okay, so in Giles' defense, in his head, they put his people near the weasels. So he's just like, oh, so you're gonna have me deal with the potential problem while you're drinking on the job.
Oh,
That
yeah.
really fucking spites it. Like that's got him real pissed off. So
That's perfectly fair and an entirely reasonable interpretation. Like, again, Preston and his crew, they're used to being, they live and breathe like seafaring. They know their drill. These crew probably could do everything drunk, pretty reasonably. But at the same time, what you say isn't unfair. And on top of that, you're being held to a different standard than his privateer crew are, since they are privateers, but they are still being led by someone who is ostensibly of the Mouse Guard and wears a cloak of. So, I see where you're coming from.
privateers should still know better. Even pirates didn't drink on this ship.
Damn straight. That's pretty fair. You definitely. I'm gonna say make me a. I'd say make me a will roll, just a flat will roll.
Cool. Okay, let's see. Will. I don't see a burn coin on here.
Ah, I mean,
Oh, it's it should be right underneath. It should be in the same area as your health and your mouse nature.
That's
So-
that's good. 3 successes and a negative, so 2.
Yeah, that's solid. In this brief little time you've had with Preston, you sort of pick up 2 things. First off, Preston is the kind of mouse that is part of the guard because likely he was pulled into it as the result of something. This wasn't his first choice, but he was probably doing something else when he got drafted into the guard. Likely to answer a vendetta or to handle something. 2, he is a self-taught captain. Truth of the matter is, there's not a navy in the Mouse territories. There's no need for one. Most boats are literally leaves that are grabbed by mice and paddled with sticks. So the idea of a bespoke ship, let alone a warship, let alone a formally ordered navy, super weird. Only some settlements have that, and even then, like 1 or 2 ships, it's about the extent. So Preston is probably one of the most skilled seafarers in the entirety of the Mouse territories. But he also got this knowledge probably the old-fashioned way. He's probably still teaching himself everything. He's clearly been trained by somebody, but whoever that was, they are not operating out of any book. He is not a naval officer, and nor does he come off as one whatsoever. So yeah, he's unprofessional as hell. At least when it comes to matters of this kind of thing. You suspect you might catch him doing shit like this all the time, if you were to really start looking closely.
And that's exactly what he's doing. He's
Yeah.
going to walk around the entirety of the deck and make sure that everybody's actually on the on a good standard. And if they're not, whew, Daddy Giles is gonna be angry.
Angie.
All right. I'm going to say make me one last roll. This one's going to be an instructor.
Hark.
This will not be opposed.
Another instructor. There we go.
That's solid. 2 successes.
That's my 3rd instructor check that I've done that's been successful so far, I believe.
It's good stuff.
Pretty good.
Yeah, that is accurate. You're halfway there to leveling up. So you can see, as you go about the deck, you can see the crew. They're a little soft around the edges in some ways. Like, there is an incredible amount of skill on display. These mice can literally walk up and down the gangplanks, literally number of them don't touch the ground, and they're just walking. They're used to the scene. But you also see, like, some very questionable decisions. One in particular realized, and probably the biggest one, the one that really rankles your ass, is the fact that this is a ship with a cannon. And you've been serving the Mouse Guard long enough. You probably were there for the Hedgem War. And as a result, during the Regem War, you've seen what gunpowder weaponry can do. Many mice died to gunpowder weapons. In fact, to Raphael's weapons, the guy who's in your expedition. That's up to you to decide how forgiving you of everything that happened with that. But these weapons are super weapons. They don't have a guard at the powder keg. They don't have anyone posted back. Granted, it is on the bottom deck of the ship, buried underneath 2 other decks, with no other egress but outwards. But there's no guards formally back there. You see there's like 2 guards towards the front by the cannons, but none of them are actually by the powder, by the powder keg. So that's fucking weird. Even like the non-explosive arms on most Mouse Guard vessels are guarded.
So you're telling me they have the destructive power of literally taking out an entire ship completely unmanned?
At very least, the place where they keep the actual powder itself. Like, they have the cannonballs and the powder itself is usually, like, it seems like it's been sewn into, like, satchels or bags, and then they sort of pack the whole thing in. It's just like a musket in that way. But as opposed to biting the nib off it, they just take the whole thing and tamp it in. So, and you can see there's different varieties. So it's not like it's fully itself unguarded. Like I said, the passageway leading to it has 2 like sailors who's going to be manning the cannon at all times. But there is no one back there who is bespoke guarding the actual black powder. So yeah, technically, you're not wrong. This is like Kung Fu Panda cannon levels of power we're talking here. So this isn't like, oh, this is a little thing. This is designed to obliterate a boat. It's basically a 22 Magnum strapped to an RC car, is like the scale of firepower we're talking.
What did you say, Kung Fu Panda? All I could think of is like when the cannon went off, goes skadoosh.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's what's gonna happen. He's gonna promptly head back, go to his ship, and he's gonna grab the 2 thieves.
Immediately, as soon as they arrive, just kind of like, yes, Lord,
Got
yes,
a
Lord.
wee assignment for you.
Yes, whatever you need, Captain, I'm ready. And the brother kind of nods. Yes, sir. I think I finally got the hang of this. And he manages to, like, get the longsword over his shoulder. He's kind of just, like, giving his other arm a rest. But he seems to be able to handle this one-handed now.
Good for him. He's gonna need that. A gesture with his head, and he'd start promptly walking back across the deck.
Yeah, the crew begins to extend the gangplanks again, locking 2 across, one from one side, one from the other, to make a slightly wider portion as you cross each boat one at a time. When you're crossing the Weasel one, you can see Modi poke her head out and watch you go by with an armed guard, kind of like cock her head. Sort of like pull her head back in again, not saying anything, marking that for later. Eventually you get to the Invicta, and the gangplank descends again, lets you across, and you're announced again, and then the guy sort of like looks over and sort of like leans. Who are your 2 guests?
Oh! Well, I don't speak for him. He'd look back at the 2 of them, like, go ahead and introduce yourself.
They both give you a look like us, and then they kind of just lean in. Yes, so, well, it's been a hot minute, so I'm, we're just Mouse Guard. We don't really have titles. There's no need for it. Don't worry about it. And they give you a look like, please don't make us announce our fucking names. They're both kind of nervous about the idea of it, clearly. It doesn't have anything to do with the fact that I misplaced their names and I'm on the spot.
What? You did what? I didn't even.
How could you? Oh my god! It's almost like the same thing. Anyway,
we can just assume they know their names. And they
no, they wouldn't. Well, they shouldn't say their names because they technically want to do it now.
It's fair.
Jeff, Jenny.
Jeff, I love it. Jeff and Janet of Wolfram, Port Sumac. Go ahead, my lord. Sort of like looking at the two mice with long swords entering their deck. Which, again, it's not unusual to see mice with weapons. The weapons drawn, on the other hand, that's something else.
So, I couldn't help but notice that these fellers here are a bit light-handed on the help. So, you two are going to do a bit of garden duty for me.
Oh, yes, my lord. Where would you have us go?
He gesture with his finger, like, come on.
Oh, sure. That whole way down there. And they sort of like peek their heads down and their eyes kind of widen as they get like over towards the two sailor mice. Watch as they approach. They sort of just like turn. And where are you two going, if I might ask?
They're going to guard the black powder that you've neglected to post anyone at.
Sort of looks at the two of them and looks at you. Make me a will. I'm going to say either a will roll or you can make me a. Oh, this is going to be interesting. We're basically making me an intimidation roll of sorts. So
I'm a fierce little hunk of bacon. I am not afraid.
you absolutely are. I'm willing to say this would be will, and if you want, you can add wise to this if you'd like. If you were trying to be intimidating AF.
Nice. Will and wise. Am I adding war wise?
Yes.
Cool. That'll be 4 plus 7. Very intimidating.
Jesus Christ, you are.
Oh.
Oh.
I'm scared.
So, as you say this, like a cloud slowly like rolls over the ship and casts the ship in shadow, and a breeze comes up, and you're just like every bit this like warlord for a minute, like kilt and cloak blowing, arms on your sides, broadsword clearly displayed, and like both of them kind of like look at each other and eyes raise. We'll have to clear it with the captain, but go ahead. And they sort of just like stand to the side, and the two guards mice turn, look at you, and nod and walk back with their blades. So just until you is there going to be a cycle? Like we get to go back at any point, or we're just going to sit here for a while?
Aye, sure. That's when the captain decides to actually put someone there. So you'll be there in the meantime.
Right. Gotcha. And they just sort of plant themselves, and one of them scoots a barrel forward and sort of sits on it. Another one like pulls another barrel forward, and they just sort of sit there, leaning on their long swords, waiting.
He just give you he give the both of them a 2-finger salute and just take off. You're welcome.
Shoutouts
The
to
crew
Arlie
just-
for the first. I almost said persona, bait or persona point.
Nice. Sick. Thank you all day.
You.
Anyone who wants to take that, feel free to claim that, or you can.
There's 2 in the
Yeah,
pool
2
right now.
sitting. There are. Speak of. As you're walking off the Invicta, and the crew is just watching, kind of aghast that you marched troops on board. Technically, this was a boarding. The very loose definition of a boarding. It wasn't like as though as if they were resisting you in any meaningful way. But yeah, you did lead an armed party onto this boat. Which, damn. Elsewhere in the expedition, as the water right now is pretty still, pretty placid. So finally, our weasel friend here Also because the trough you've been like drinking out of occasionally with the water has been dosed with quinine, so your seasickness has slowly dissipated.
I was gonna say I found my way into the rum.
Oh, that'll do it too. Absolutely, yeah. There's a huge flask of rum
You
back
can
there.
you can get drunk enough to counteract the seasick. I'm speaking from personal experience here. This is a DM Studios official tip. If you are seasick and you have alcohol available, drink that, and it will alleviate the seasickness.
That's actually kind of cool to know.
There's
That
a point
might
of
not work
diminishing
for
returns.
everyone.
There is a point of diminishing returns. So yeah, I like just kind of out the door, kind of like stumbling over the frame because it's obviously made for somebody significantly smaller than me, and just kind of like weasel my way out, and then like rest my hand and kind of on the tortoise.
So the weasels and the mice on deck kind of like look at you, and they kind of like give you like an okay, sort of like, all right, you're not gonna puke on the deck. You should be good.
Which one of you knows where sea monsters are?
The Hedgeham, who's been watching this, sort of turns and like, hey, Clyde, can you direct our friend here to the ocean? And like, sort of pops down like, yeah, of course. And it's the same one with the hook hand again. Like, walks over proudly to you. Hello again. You want to find sea monsters then? Well, good news. We're gonna need meat because the tortoises need a little something to eat, and we've brought enough provisions for like vegetable. A little protein ain't gonna hurt. So, I hear 2 ships down. They're getting ready to do a fishing thing. If you want to give them a hand, they might end up dredging up an eel, or scaring up something. The chum tends to attract a lot of predators. So
I'm
Well, I
already
could use
drunkenly scampering up the tortoise. My legs like kind of like skittering at nothing as I'm like trying to find purchase, and then like I scramble up into my arch, and I come back out with my halberd.
Right, it seems like a yes. My lord, and he turns towards the weasel who's currently on guard, and the weasel kind of like looks at him for a second with a dull look, not realizing he was being referred to as a lord. And it's like, yes, could you lower the gangplank for us? Right. And he reaches over and grabs this giant board of wood, almost as long as he is tall, flops it down, and on the other side you can see the other barge notices the gangplank goes down, and a team of 3 mice do the same and scoot it across. And they're clearly welcoming you across if you'd like to go.
I'm very much using my halberd as a walking stick. At one point I almost like sway off into the water, but I catch myself and continue along my trek to 2 boats down.
Make me a. This is actually a good opportunity to make you make some rolls. Let's do it. We're gonna go with. This is an interesting conundrum. I think we're gonna have you make me. I want to say a scout roll.
Okay. Can I add poison wise to it?
No, not
Because
this.
I'm drunk.
I will say, in fairness, you are a poisoner. You probably would know exactly the kind of dosage you would need to treat this kind of thing for alcohol, so you are pleasantly buzzed. I'm going to say just negate outright the nausea penalty I was going to make you take.
Okay.
So, yeah, you've earned it. Your character actually knows a thing or two about poisoning and dosing. Okay, so that's
ideal.
not ideal.
Still not ideal.
Still not ideal. So right now you're looking at 2 failures, but no the 1 cancels out the 5, so it could be worse. But it's just a flat failure.
I'm drunk. I'm too drunk to taste this chicken.
100%. You get all the way to this boat where you can see there's a bunch of mice, each of them having like gaffer sticks and like other like hooks and things like that. And these things are big. A mouse hook is less like what you and I would think of like a hook and line or like a kunai on rope. This is way more like a scythe on rope. For a mouse, like a hook is a weapon about half as big as a long sword. And usually it is roped because it's used like a grapple, but it's heavy as hell. This thing is a mainline weapon. So you can see a number of them with that, a couple of them with like fishing spears and hooks for things on the deck. And you can even see there's a hedgehog there who appears to have a large black powder weapon, which almost kind of looks like a deck gun, sort of like standing there with hooks on the end. And they're all kind of wearing blue banners on their arms and sort of like turn and see you approach. And one of the mice looks right past you, and there's someone behind you that you have not noticed this entire time. And your friend, Cookie the pirate, is right behind you. He's been following you, escorting you because you were a weasel going through the expedition, and you cannot go completely unnoticed on these ships.
I turn around and kind of sneer at him, like, "Argh."
He looks up at you, sees the sneer, and just kind of like happily waves a little bit, like he's not picking up what you're putting down, but he certainly like understands that it might be a little bit of intrusion into privacy. He wants to help with the fishing, as I recall. I'm just gonna sit over here and wait. And he just sort of like scoots back and pops himself on a little barrel, hands on his legs, and sort of watches.
I just kind of look at this mouse expectantly.
The mouse sort of
I guess
looks-
whoever it is that I'm talking to, is it a mouse or a hedgehog?
It's a mouse.
Okay, yeah, I know you said there.
There's a hedgehog there, but the hedgehog isn't the one in charge.
Okay.
This mouse looks up at you, and you can see this mouse is wearing a blue cloak and appears to have on their head kind of like a bandana tied back one of their eyes. So whoever this is knows enough to like, you want to have night vision for below deck, and you want to have day vision on the other hand. So like this dude knows what he's doing. Sort of looks up at you. Well then, so if you want to help, so be it. I'm Barney. Nice to meet you. We're about to fish. Have you ever fished before?
I'm going to kill a sea monster.
You just might. All right.
Eels.
That's quite possible. And he doesn't like crack a smile at all, even though you're inebriated, and even though clearly you're kind of just you're going through whatever it is. No man, he's taking it at like face value. He turns towards the hedgehog. You're going to be working with him. Your job is simple. We're going to throw nets over the edge. We're going to throw hooks on it. We're going to gut as many minnows as we can, pull them in, hopefully kill them so they don't fight, and then put bodies on board. We're going to do this a couple of times. There's going to be blood in the water. Things might get big. When they do, you and Jado over there are going to handle the big things.
Yes.
You can take whatever you want out of it if you'd like.
Yes.
Hey.
All right then. And he claps his hands and just turns away like this is the most normal thing in the world. And the mice all begin to scamper and get ready. So they're going to all begin to start fishing in pretty quick order. The hedgehog, Jado, as they called them, is standing there and sort of like turns to look at you. They're not quite eye level with you. You still are like a third taller than they are at full. But they kind of like give you like a nod. And you can see Jado is clearly like an old soldier. Like he's got a couple scars across his chest. He's got his weapon clearly has been dulled with use because this thing isn't just a cannon. To a lot of hedgehogs, these black powder weapons are giant bludgeons. You can see a few skull-sized dents in them. So this guy is an old hand.
Jado, how will you use that underwater?
He turns and he smiles. Simple. You don't need to worry about it jamming if you're only going to fire it once. takes out this what appears to be at first like you think it's a cannonball, but then as he gets higher, you see it's actually like a spear. It's kind of like a harpoon, but it's super short, and it's just designed to fit at the end of the cannon. And he sort of takes a little bit of black powder, tamps it down, and takes the thing and squeezes it on. You can kind of make like it, as you can see that the dart at the back has some kind of like oil skin on it, designed to seal the interior of the cannon. And he sort of like screws it in place.
Need one of those.
You have your own weapon, right? That you do.
That. Cool.
Dono looks at you and then looks at the weapon. Looks back up. Okay, I have to admit it is pretty cool.
Can kill from far away.
Pretty far. Not as far as the Firelance, though. And he turns and looks in the distance, and you can see the Hedgehog's workshop turtle on the barge. Because unlike most of the other tortoises, this one isn't dwarfed by the barge. This one is like 3 stories tall on top of the 4th story around the side. So it's really actually like a 4-story building with a giant cannon on top. The fact that it's upright is kind of a minor miracle. So from here you can see this giant weapon about the same size as the gun on the Invicta. Just like casting a silhouette over a portion of the fleet. That thing. So full disclosure, I saw that thing kill a bear.
What?
I'm not kidding. Black bear. 2 years back, we were walking around the outskirts, southern edge of the territories, doing our usual circuit, keeping things away from the scent border that shouldn't be. I'm not even joking. Black bear, and I mean a mama black bear, not a kid, walks into a clearing, bellows at us, and charges. That gun wasn't on a tortoise back then. It was on wheels. And I swear Raphael got men to turn the thing, aim up at the thing, and right when it was about to crunch down on them, fired it right into the gullet. Never seen more blood in my life. Dropped dead on the spot. One shot.
I'm just gonna like mouth a jaw, like a gape, and I get really close to this Hedgehog and I go,
Why did we fight? We could have taken Mouselands, ran the place. So many of the little things. Could have eaten them all.
Hedgehog looks at you for a second, like sort of side-eyed, sort of leans in. Truth be told, not everyone wanted to fight you. After all, a number of you were commissioned by us. But, not everyone's okay with how the war ended. Some of us are going out to start anew. Honestly, whatever works. I'm not particularly picky.
I like you, Giotto. Dukan.
and I put my little like paw out.
Nods and takes it. Forearm grips. Shakes firmly. Pleasure.
Let's kill an eel.
Let's. And you can, so about like a 30-minute period goes by, and you can see mice throw out their nets, pull them in, bunch of minnows onto the deck, and you see mice go about starting to bludgeon them to death, literally cracking heads so they don't move. And this goes in cycles for a couple minutes. Eventually, make me a hunter roll. And at this point, I am willing to let you add Snakewise to this.
Oh boy. Snake boy. It's just regular snakes. That's a lot. Okay. Hey.
Holy cannoli, buddy. Yeah, that is it's a fair bit. Yeah, even with the 2 1s, you still succeed, so make sure you're checking those off. At this point, if you have any combat music you'd like to slap on, probably a good idea, because we're about to go into combat. Perfect. So, as you look over the edge of the boat, you and Jado have been sort of keeping an eye on it. But you see it first. A shadow, like actually a couple of them beginning to form underneath the water. And eventually, you can see like a couple of larger fish begin to leap up and like take bites out of the minnows that are sort of forming in these little like net groups. And they have little sharp teeth. You're not sure exactly what kinds they are, but they're big enough to prey on mice. So for a mouse, this is like the equivalent of, say, hammerheads starting to attack. But below them, you can see something coming up out of the dark. You see, it's not super dark below, it's just like a little dim. You're kind of going over an area that almost looks like a reef of some kind. And from the deep below, you can see a ribbon-like shape casting a shadow, getting closer towards the surface. You know what that is.
I point to Jado.
Incoming.
Right? Well then.
As soon as the adrenaline spikes, like, all the drunkenness just, like, floods out of me. It's just...
Yeah, you're immediately focused again. And you can see below as the shadow begins to approach. Which of them is the biggest boomstick? That would be the one on the tortoise. As you seeing this thing approach, Jado turns to you. All right, I handle the big fish. You handle the sea ribbon. Meet in the middle.
See if you can keep up.
And there's like a shing as I get my halberd ready.
All right. So at this point, we're going to go into active combat. And I'm going to do my best to approximate an eel. And this is going to be interesting. So, oh, perfect. Okay. So no eel, but we can go with a snake. A milk snake will. This is actually a pretty terrifying foe for you. So, as you sort of like draw your weapon, you can feel a rock under the boat as that ribbon goes underneath, and you see the thing lift up a little bit as it sort of bumps against it, testing the weight. And you get the image of ribbon of flesh cutting through the water, sort of diving back around the whole time, trying to keep pace. Which, it's not hard. It's a barge. It's not going super fast.
Right. I want to try to anticipate where he's going to come next and then, like, jump specifically on that spot and bonk him.
Beautiful. All right, then. So, that sounds like that's an attack. It's either an attack or a maneuver. Which one would you like to do?
I think that would be a maneuver.
I'd say that's fair. This dude's definitely attacking, which means it's a roll-off. So, for this fight, this is just a standard fight, so that works for me. We're going to be using our usual combat rules, which are right over here. Okay. So, you're going to be making yourself... This will ever load up. Here we go. This is an attack action. You're going to be making me a standard fighter roll, I would say, or a hunter roll in this case. We'll say hunter roll.
Yo. Not ideal. Not ideal. Okay.
All right. That is currently all failures. Versus our nature on this thing. Apparently, both of you two are kind of sucking right now.
That's great. That's wonderful.
It's a little distracted, yeah. So you go and make this leap out. You sort of have like your halberd held up, kind of like a plunging dive at this thing, and you slap into the water next to it, and the thing at the last minute kind of sees you coming, sort of like tries to wiggle away quickly. You still manage to graze it a little bit. It's not a telling blow. This thing does have like a thick layer of slime, so all you really get for it is like a halberd full of slime and a lot of salt water. But this thing, it knows you're there, 100%, and you have slightly dinged it, so you are neutrally obliged. I'm gonna just make another roll in the background for Jado doing his thing versus the other folks. Jado kicking ass. Okay. So as you leap into the water, you get like a brief moment behind you where you can see one of the mice is sort of like backing up on the deck, feet kicking as one of these fish is just like chomp on the deck, getting close to him like Jaws style. And Giotto just comes forward and full Fenway Park swing and hits him with the bludgeon that is his cannon. And you hear this crack, and you just see the fish go flying, leaving blood behind and one of its eyes coming out as it hits the water. That thing's dead. Thing is super dead. So you can see him saddling up to take on another one. How do you want to take care of this thing now as it's slowly like it's starting to be a little less startled, and it's now that it's aware of your presence, you can sort of see like the side of its head and its eye looking at you as it's going by. And it seems like it's formulating an attack of some kind.
Flushing it out didn't really work, so I'm going to try to thrust the end of my spear into its side. Well, it's a halberd.
Okay.
Spear, but is that a fighter roll?
I'd say fighter or hunter. Either one works. Your call on that. I'd say fighter in this case works.
Frick.
All right.
And so it continues.
Yeah. All right. And so it continues. Apparently the two of you can't really make him. So this thing is sort of, as you like take a swipe at it, it sort of pulls back, like trying to like back away. But it's got a really long body, and it's not used to something as big as you trying to make a meal out of it. And normally it would just swim away. But the blood in the water and the promise of food and mice and turtle maybe even seems to be enough of a draw to make it a little bit of a risk taker right now. And so like it's sort of like darts side to side, like head looking at you, like slowly moving, trying to like do sort of like the little like side to side shimmy. Can I get around you? And you're just perfectly positioned between the mice on the barge, their catch, and this eel, which right now that you're underwater, you can get a much better look at it. It's just a brown eel. Doesn't have like too much more than a couple ribbons, but it's definitely not electric. You would have felt that, that's for sure. It might be poisonous, but it's not super vibrant, so odds are probably no, given your knowledge of snakes. And it probably carries over well enough to this. To know, like, if you're poisonous, you scream that from the top of your chromatophores. So, I'm going to make another roll for Giotto behind you. And Bonk versus...
Nice. Good
Nope.
job, Giotto.
Yeah, behind you in the water, you can hear a thud. The way that when you're underwater, you can't really hear things probably. You just sort of feel like the impact and hear like a very dulled down version. You can hear another really hard thud, and you can just see like another body of a fish go flopping into the water. This one appears to be bent at an unnatural angle, like someone took it and broke it like a pencil. Snap. There's still more fish going for the boat, though. You can see more coming up from the deep. Apparently, the moray has disturbed a couple of fish on the way up, and they're taking the opportunity, while the moray is distracted, to take as many minnows as they can. And occasionally, you can see them taking a swipe at the odd mouse. So far, unsuccessful. But if this keeps going, it might get worse.
Let's hope it doesn't keep going then. Taking kind of like a big, deep breath, I take a look around, and then I'm just gonna like throw my halberd out of the water, like still holding on to it, and then just try to bring it down with all the force that I can. Please,
Okay.
Fuck, finally.
All right. This thing was actually attacking as well, so we get to see what we do. Yeah, okay, buddy.
Finally.
That's something, all right.
Mm-hmm.
So, as you sort of bring your sword up, you can see the moray like sees you sort of like get a little closer to the surface, and as soon as you're pulling off, it's just like you can tell from like the excited look in its eyes that are facing in the opposite direction, but you can still see like how the lids lift up, that it thinks that's its chance, and it just sort of like quickly starts darting towards the boat, and it just doesn't see the axe coming. The halberd crashes down, solidly chunks into one of its fins, and you can see like it's cut open, and it like splits a little bit at that point. and you can just see the thing like silently writhe its mouth ajar in like that natural pain reaction that even a creature that can't scream, there is still a soundless scream as this thing thrashes away from you, blood pouring out of its limb, and it just sort of looks at you. And you get the very distinct feeling this thing is no longer interested in the mice. It wants your ass.
Yeah, that sounds fair.
That hurt the fuck out of it, though. It's pretty solid. So, I'm gonna quickly do a little roll for Jado, again, doing his thing. Okay, not quite as good. V. Alright. So, on the deck, you can hear a shout as one of the bigger fish has managed to sort of like flop onto it. And you, since you're on the top of the water, you can sort of see this for a second, like with a turnaround, that one of the fish has actually clamped onto Jado, like around mid-body with its teeth, but Jado's wearing armor. So, like, it's kind of just scraping against the metal, and Jado's groaning more in surprise and frustration that he can't get the damn thing off, or get, like, a good angle to give it a good clubbing. So,
Alright, buddy.
meanwhile, you can see that the other fish are moving towards the mice, and there's a couple that are very shortly, if he can't get shit under control on deck, are gonna die.
Okay, well, Dukan thinks back to the conversation that he just had about waiting for the bear to get right up on you and then blowing its insides out, but I don't have a gun to shoot it with, so instead I just thrust the end of the halberd out like a spear and hope that the eel impales itself on it.
Ooh. Okay. That's certainly interesting. I like that idea. So if that's the case, then... Oh, man. I'm going to say this is a hunter. This is snake-wise. And on top of that, this is going to be a feint for you. Which... Feint v... Nice. Feint v maneuver. It's an independent action. You don't have to worry about beating this thing. This is actually pretty great. So, yep. The feint, test feint, and the... Oh, God. You're fucking this thing super hard. So feint versus an attack, it doesn't get in a roll. It's your target number is 0.
Oh, fuck yeah.
It doesn't even get a roll. So, how much do you do against this thing is the real question.
Well, I rolled 7 because I thought it was a regular attack roll, but that's also the same number of hunter plus snake-wise, so... That?
Perfect.
2 6s?
Holy shit. Yeah. Ouch. That's a lot. So, this thing darts at you, mouth open, and you can see at the front of its mouth, like, it has a bunch of, like, little needle teeth going on the inside of its lips. But the big ones you notice are a set of sharp teeth. You can see strong enough to punch through metal on the very, like, tops of its jaws. And it opens its mouth as it gets closer to take a big bite of you. And as you do, you wait and wait, kind of making yourself a target. As the thing opens its mouth, you just drive your halberd in, and you just catch it in the back of its head, and its momentum carries it down.
Hell yeah.
And it just sort of shears the front of the eel partially open along the bottom of its jaw. It's dead, 100%. You
Oh,
killed it.
fuck yeah, dude.
Absolutely murdered the thing. As its head, like, just shudders, and it begins to sink into the deep. Eyes going cloudy as it does. And behind you, hopefully Jado can get his shit together. This is the episode where Jado might get his shit together, we'll see. Yes, he does officially get his shit together. He manages to get the thing off of him. He doesn't get a chance to kill it, but he kind of just like grabs it, wrestles with it, and just sort of like throws it, and it just flies off him into the water and just sort of looks back at the boat, looks at you, dead eel, and just kind of just swims off, realizing this isn't fun anymore. Getting bodily thrown by a creature about your size is enough for most predators to just leave
That's
if
fair.
they're not being driven.
See, I jumped in the water.
That also is freaking out the fish now, by the way. That's
Also, I'm
not a
worried
thing
for it
they're
because he's
used to.
wearing metal armor and he's in water.
Yeah. Thankfully, Jado is okay. He's still on deck. He threw the fish thing.
Oh, I thought
He's
you
still-
said that he got thrown off deck.
No. He succeeded enough to throw the thing off of him, and the fish just swam away, just like, fuck it, this is
Got
So
it.
he's still on deck.
Cool. Okay, my boy's all right.
Yeah. There's only like a couple fish on the deck, so if you want to, you can clamber up probably unmolested. You can see the other fish from below are like slowly stop going towards the boat and start going towards the ruin of the eel you just killed.
I tell Jado to throw me his hook.
He looks around, nods, grabs one of the hooks and just throws it out towards you, and hopefully he doesn't suck ass at it, because he's not the best at this. Oh, he's
Nice.
fine. He catches you. The hook goes into the water, sort of drags towards you. It doesn't catch you with the blade or anything. You can manage to catch it with one hand if you'd like.
I would like to set the hook into the eel.
Okay. I'm just going to give it to you. You've done this before. Killing prey is a thing you've done. So yeah, you can hook it basically onto the underside of its jaw into its soft palate. It's not going anywhere.
Okay. Then I guess I'll switch off the combat music.
Yeah, I'd say you succeed. A couple of the fish get closer towards you, and then they see, like, as Jado is reeling you in, like, there is a weasel hanging off of this thing.
Oh yeah, I'm.
they basically take
Off
one
my
look at it
eel.
like, ooh, food, and then, ooh, death, and they go the other way. And by the time you get back to the deck, you can see that none of the mice are dead. Thankfully, Jado got his stuff together. The other fish managed to swim off because you basically got this done quick enough where no one died. And all the minnows on the deck are largely secured. There's a couple, like, obviously ones that got grabbed and killed, sucked off fish. But as Jado helps you on the deck, you can see a number of the mice, like, look back into the water, some with, like, surprisingly large eyes. And the one with the bandana who met you earlier walks over, looks at the eel and looks back up at you. So kill a monster, you said.
Dukan, best weasel.
Looks back down. Dukan, good fisher. Gives you a pat on the shoulder. All right, get it all together. When you start salting it immediately, and let the weasel have the eel.
Only one skull. You can take rest.
Okay,
Feed
Haul it up.
any mice.
you will.
I don't think you
Thank
should have
you.
biddies, baby.
Aw.
Of course.
So yeah, they pull it onto the deck, and yeah, it's so big it like partially hangs off the deck. This thing's massive. Like, it's about like a half again the length of the barge. So they have to put it in like an L shape on the deck. They let you take its head. So
That's all I
I'm
want.
gonna have you make me a survival roll for that one because you are, I'd say, like, actually not survivalist. I'd say hunter for this, and I'll let you do snake-wise again just because.
Yay!
I would also say you have gotten a fighter and a hunter success, along with snake-wise and poison-wise. So make sure you mark all those as successes.
Yay!
Nice. Yeah, no, you. This is basically to make sure you didn't mess up the hide, or mess up the skull. So yeah, you nail it. Perfect. Top right behind the head. Thing comes off, pops forward, and just sort of flops off to the side. The rest of the body immediately, from being stiff, just goes instantly slack, and the mice immediately get to work, starting to get the sludge of the mucus off it with knives and starting to prepare it and get it ready to be basically butchered and salted.
I
So-
grab the base of the spine, or I guess the interior of the skull, and just kind of haphazardly like slough it over my shoulder. And before leaving the company of the mouse, I say,
Let none say weasels do not do their fair share.
The mouse nods. Aye. Agreed. Good day, Jukon. You're welcome on board anytime we have a hunt.
and then I immediately begin off-screen broing down with Jado, telling him about how I went right down the gullet, like you mentioned.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, straight up, Jado begins walking with you and, like, casually conversing, like, that was pretty fucking badass. Like, how did you do that? And you two basically trading notes. as you're walking. So yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah. It was good, man.
We're gonna go from that over to Natalie. At the moment, I'm gonna say it's been a pretty uneventful day. Like, you've seen there was like a fishing thing going on a couple of boats away, but they handled it pretty much by themselves. No one else has been moving to help because, you know, it's a whole war party over there, like another mice bring. For the most part, you can see your friend Thom trying over the course of the day. At least, you know, after he gets done with his little nap. Because it is a little nap. He goes up there for like 30 minutes and then he's down again. You get the feeling he might have done it just to sort of like slightly get away at the moment. But eventually, if I can get this open. Okay, closed it. Perfect. With time, you can see that Thom is sitting there, like, just, again, a little bored. But this time, he's sort of just, like, looking out over the ocean, and, like, sort of can see him trying to sort of squint at the clouds. And you get the distinct feeling he's trying to figure out about the weather, or at least the ocean generally. And he's clearly having a hard time with it. This is a mouse who was taught how to, you know, steer a boat in the weather, not necessarily predict it. So, Cedric is at the moment on deck. He has woken up, but he's largely just sort of like guiding the rest of the mice about doing their business. So, once again, you and Thom seem to have the run of the place.
I think you're muted.
I think you're muted. Yeah.
Okay. I walk back over to him and again kind of lean over the railing to look out. Just you know, quiet for a moment. So I'm also observing the clouds. And just kind of offhandedly say, strange objects they are, aren't they?
Yeah.
Beautiful, but deadly.
He turns to look at you. Yes, you're right. Like little weird mountains in the sky. Might just drown us, whip us into a frenzy. Moment's notice.
And yet, completely necessary for life. You know, water for the crops, which feeds us. So, a terrible necessity.
Yeah. Sails don't work without wind, I guess. He turns a little bit towards you. Are you a weather mouse, by any chance?
I know my way around odd clouds.
Out of character for everyone to have context, absolutely is a weather mouse. You have like 5 in it. You are professionally skilled.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure, like...
Your average mouse is trained up to something to about 4 ranks. Further than 4 ranks, at that point, that is expertise. So I'd say you're about as good a weather watcher as most will ever get. Like a 6 or a 7 is like a truly epic level of skill. That is like a weather watcher at the end of their career. So you're well on your way to that shit. You keep this up.
Alright, well then. I'm somewhat of a scientist myself. Like, weatherologist.
Sort of looks at you and has like that guard in his face, like, not sure if you're bullshitting me or you're serious. And then he looks out again, and then he looks in the... All right. Can I ask you a question? A little bit of a weather watching one.
Right
oh my
ahead.
goodness, new raid. Here's an adventure with a party of 5. Welcome in, raiders. Thank you so much for being here. Make yourself
Welcome,
comfy.
folks.
Get propped up. We are cute little mice and weasels. So, enjoy.
Yes, now start out in the open ocean, surviving. So Thom like turns and so okay. Something I never really got is just how is it that we always get storms in the same area? I never got that. Like, is there I can understand like why a flood goes in the same place. Obviously, low terrain from high terrain makes sense. I get that. Why is it that storms out of the ocean come out? Like, why does it always hit Port Summit? Why doesn't it ever go a little bit further south? And, like, maybe hit somewhere a little bit less, a little more deserving, like those punks at Darkwater, like a little higher north, like Frostic. It always misses Frostic. Why is that?
Well, the winds are stronger where there is water. There's also more, if you're familiar with the term, precipitation in the air, which helps fill the clouds with water, which then creates storms. Out of character, I am not a weatherologist at all, so I am bullshitting my way through this.
That's fair. No, make me a weather watcher, 100%.
Right.
Let's see.
Not bad.
Oh, that's good. It's solid.
Mhm.
So that is one success. Well, 2 successes, 1 traitor, but the traitor realizes that. So you know enough about this. Yeah, it's basically it's a complicated process. You take them through step by step. It's underwater currents. It's warm temperatures and large amounts of air, bodies of water. It's about climate at different levels and at longitudes and latitudes along the planet that carry weather more efficiently. Tropic storms happen in hot water; they don't happen in cold water. Yada yada. Because of the port and where it's positioned, there's a perfect jet stream basically leads those storms right in and don't hit Frosty because it's cold as hell. And basically, like, you walk him through it bit by bit. And as you do, you realize he's taking you seriously and at face value. It's not like giving you that kind of like, is she bullshitting me face anymore? He's 100% buying you for absolutely this. And taking notes, from what you can tell. Like, he's scrawling something a little, like, it looks like a little cloth that's torn off his cloak in like what seems to be a crayon. Largely just wax and dirt, but it works. Oh, that makes sense, I guess. Huh. Tell you the truth, I kind of hate the whole boating thing. Like, doing this my entire life. I'm good at it, but really don't want to be on them. So I need a job that I can do and learn, not have it be boating, so they can take me off of rotation from barges, maybe have me go into actually build a settlement. Would you be willing to teach me more about weather watching in your spare time? I know it's a lot to ask, but I could use a mentor.
On the inside, Sienna's like, this is all I ever wanted. But she keeps herself composed on the outside, pretends to think for a moment. I suppose I could spare some time, help you with this.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. I really appreciate it. And like, it just sort of like bows at the waist. I promise I won't let you down. I'm gonna very quickly on your character sheet here. Let's see. We're gonna have this. Is there a place for notes? There should be a place for notes. Under contacts, we're gonna add Thom there, and you're gonna make sure that you put mentor next to it, or say I guess that'd be tender paw. Because you just congratulations, you took the first step to becoming a patrol leader, which requires taking a mentor. So this is like a truly being like a master artisan to teach someone else that skill set. So that's really cool.
Okay.
The rest.
My little retainer, my little follower.
Your little homie.
Thom
I will
basically
protect
sticks with
him.
you the rest of the day.
Yes.
I love it. Yeah, Thom basically spends the rest of the day following you around asking you other questions like this, like all day, and you keep kind of like giving him the explanation back. And it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, sure. And like he's basically a kid meeting someone he has a shared interest with you now. So now there actually is a reason for him to engage with you. And he is absolutely leaning into it. As the day gets longer and starts getting closer towards like night, Thumb kind of just like sees himself off to bed and like thanks you again profusely. And Cedric walks over and sort of like leans on the side of Garo, who's currently resting on his shell and like dozing. You can see from the front, from the deep rumbling like snore he's releasing. So Cedric just kind of like leans over. So, I see you've been busy today.
Well, you put me in charge for the day. Wanted to make sure everything went smoothly.
I'd say you did. It's not easy to take on a tender pod of train line, but
Nothing I can't handle.
well, you do well enough, and Gwendolyn might make you patrol leader. Be your own patrol watch. You get my job.
Don't worry. I couldn't replace you.
Don't worry about it. Honestly, it's fine. Truth is, when someone else becomes patrol leader becomes a captain. And I certainly wouldn't mind not going in the field quite so much. I'm not as young as I used to be.
Fair point.
You know what? Let's celebrate. I hear they keep a thing of like some decent wine back in the shed. I'm gonna crack that open, a couple glasses for you. It's getting towards the end of shift.
Yes. I think a little celebration in honor of our successful setting off voyage be appropriate.
Couldn't agree more. Let's get to it then. And you two set off and cracks open a bottle of wine in the back there, pours some glasses, and you two just have a comfortable time chatting.
I told you I was second in command.
You very well might be very soon on this little patrol.
You just did
Speaking
the Pam
of-
move.
Yeah.
I'm thinking 50,000. 50,000. 41,005. 41,500.
Speaking of command, Red, Giles, what have you been up to since you posted your guards there? What's been attracting your attention?
I guess I ought to keep them busy. I have an idea. We'll clash swords and create sparks in the room full of gunpowder.
Eventually,
oh no, what happened?
what happened? The Invicta turns into a fireball. It was worth it. With the mouse sailing over.
Now that was funny.
They're gonna be so pissed.
I will say,
Gotta go
eventually, like an hour later, your crew does come back, having been relieved, as they announce that Preston has in fact posted a guard at the powder, back in the powder shed. So
Well,
apparently, they
Giles,
even hear that there's talk of them putting a door on it, so it's not as easily accessible.
it's big improvement. Giles is just ruffling feathers.
Well, it worked well enough to make him at very least put up with your shit to like be like, whatever, this will keep him away. But it's probably more professional than that. It is a reasonable request to fucking guard your black powder, please. So
Do your
That
job.
shit's
yeah, please be a professional, you unprofessional bastard. So eventually they come back and it's just like, and the other one immediately, like with the other arm, because his right arm is hurt, sort of like, that's Jeff and Janie for now. Well, Captain Preston sends his regards. Thanks you for helping to staff an hitherto unknown vulnerability in the ship's security, and very much encourages you to perhaps in the future engage him as captain to look for any future security recommendations. And I get the feeling he did that so that you can come on board his ship without a random announcement again. But it worked. So well done, my lord.
Oh, aye, seeing as I'm the protector of this whole expedition here, I think I can go wherever I want, whenever I want. And what is he gonna do about it? Put a door on me? Doors never stopped me before.
The two mice chuckle, and a couple more mice nearby you, hearing that laughter, naturally chime in, as you know happens occasionally. Like when one, especially when you like make a laugh, like a couple of folks like "ha," just to like back you up, kind of. No matter, like you've told bad jokes in the past, and you have enough folks that they're not like true kiss asses, but it's just that sort of like you don't leave a Wolfram mouse hanging. It's kind of just like a tradition where you come from. So even a bad joke needs to get a laugh, even if it's followed shortly by, but seriously, that was terrible. Get your life together.
You have some serious problems. Giles, we need to talk. Keeps making jokes. Giles, please. This is serious.
This is an intervention, Giles.
He's fucking like having a grand old time, just laughing his ass off.
So,
Lost
they
control of my
kind of
life.
like stand at attention, awaiting their next orders. As clearly they're going to need that for a little while, so they can start picking at those on their own.
So, you ready to do some sparring?
Sparring. Jeff, are you good for that? And Jeff kind of turns to Janet and shrugs with the one arm. Oh, well, if we get attacked, they're not going to wait for my arm to heal. Might as well learn how to fight one-handed. Yeah, I'm down.
That's the spirit.
Just try not to break my other one, please.
Just keep it out of the way, and I think we'll be fine.
All right. They draw swords, and immediately kind of like brandish them at you and sort of get like a little bit of a circle going. A couple of the nearby soldiers on duty start like noticing, going like, fight, 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 fight. It's just like a playground. You have like about 7 of the guards that are on duty who are kind of just like largely milling about doing busy work. Like make a ring around you. And this is a thing. Like, just to make sure that if there is a fight, it stays within a boundary. They don't go out of it. You don't have to worry about anyone accidentally getting caught in a sword fight. They kind of like make an impromptu ring around you while the other guards are doing everything. But occasionally one of them will like, you'll see a Wolfram eye poke up and like try to keep an eye on things from the rafter or on the other side of a deck. And I suppose this would be... So this is an interesting one. How much tough love are you going for, and how much actual education are you going for?
That's a good point. 90% education.
Okay. I'm going to say for that then, Giles, you're going to be
80%, I'll get angry.
That's fair. That is very fair. If that's the case, then I'm going to need an instructor role from you.
Okay.
So, and it is going to be... I'm willing to let you add militarist to this, I'll be willing to say. You'll be fighting against their fighter roles.
Oh, that's gonna be 8 dice.
It's a big one, all right.
There we go. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 successes and 1 traitor, so 4.
Okay, versus these two. So, first one. This is going to be a weird joint one. All successes, not bad, not bad.
That's a roll off.
Yeah, that is actually. And the other one,
Oh
damn,
my
they're both
God.
on fire. Yeah, so it's at this moment when you draw your blades against them, getting ready to school them, and you realize something. The one thing they actually are trained in is swashbuckling. When you encountered them, they gave you a pretty good run for your money, mostly by running away on the rafters, but they could draw swords. One of them,
the count on.
yeah, like, yeah, like, Jeff even, like, crossed swords with you. He has the arm to prove it, but he's not dead. So, like, saying something. So let's roll off again and see where this goes.
I'll kill.
Fucking break your other arm.
Daffy bastard, I'll kill y'all.
Okay, so Jeff was the first one, Janet was the second. Oh boy, okay. So we're doing this one-on-one.
4 successes minus 2, so that's 2
2 successes. All right, that does beat both of them. So Jeff does better than Janet this time. Clearly, Jeff, having fought you before, he's been on the receiving end of your wrath. So he's a little bit less trepidatious than Janet, who seems to be kind of less eager to fight. She saw what happened to her brother from a third-person perspective, not a first-person perspective. That tends to build anxiety more than courage. And so, like, her swordsmanship is a little on, like, the more guarded side. And you can basically, like, walk through her guard and straight up disarm her, even pin her to the deck if you want. Whereas Jeff, on the other hand, does put up a fight, or at least a pretty solid, like, stroke. If it weren't a well-trained swords mouse like yourself, yeah, it might have landed. But you're really fucking well-trained. And you managed to parry it. Also, the fact that the guy's swinging with an arm kind of working against him right now. It is a weapon that's at least the way he's handling it, probably best with 2 hands.
Even with a blunted blade, you'll still bleed to my sharp wits. He'd catch the blade on like the crossguard of this thing, and he'd use his other hand as pommel to rotate it, bring it around, and he's basically just gonna like spank him with like the flat end. Just
he just sort of like oof and like stumbles forward, like holding his butt for a second, dropping his sword because he only has one arm to do it, and just like right scoots up, pulls the blade up again. Let's try it again if you don't mind, boss. I feel like I could do better. And Janet like stands up from the decking. I think I can do better too. All right. Settles herself into a pretty good stance. She almost has like a kendo kind of stance with her sword, which is kind of weird, but like
it gives her a very strange look, like what's that?
We'll solve this then.
I saw a trader passing through town. He had a guard that fought like this, and I never saw him before. Honestly, I never saw any mouse like that before. He was wearing totally different kind of armor. I don't think he was from the territories, actually.
Okay, so answer me this then. What's the point of a stance or a guard?
Familiarity to make a sword stroke easier?
That, and you have to know how to cut from that guard. Just because you saw a guard and it looked cool doesn't mean you know how to cut from it.
Right. And she takes a more standard stance with the long sword, or traditional
Try ox
stance.
He like puts the sword up like this. Ox.
Ox. All right.
Easy cuts.
She mimics and gets ready for a second pass at you. So roll off again, Chief.
Yes.
Time.
This is gonna be a little bit more tough love now, especially now that she embarrassed herself.
Oh, if that's the case, then this is going to be a fighter roll plus militarist, so that's 12 dice.
That's 12 dice. No, I'm gonna bully them.
Ooh, okay,
That's
so
not bad, but
Janet's not rolling. That was actually Jeff.
Ooh.
Janet's the second one. Still
one,
rolls
two,
even on that.
three,
Like
four,
it's not a
five.
failure objectively.
I got 2 successes. So
Okay, that's fair. That means it's a roll off between you and Jeff again. Entertainingly.
This is getting fun.
Mhm.
Somehow Jeff managed to match. Jeff managed to match you versus 12 dice. I don't know how he did that. That's pretty impressive.
Just rolling pish.
But the second time sucks ass.
What the hell is with all these ones?
Oh my god.
2, 3, 4, 5,
Damn.
6, 7, 8, 4,
So that's a roll off again. Actually, no, it's not. He had two.
I have 1 success.
You do, and he has no successes actually. He actually has a -1 success because he has 1 success eaten by a 1. Then he has 2 failures, so he actually has 2 failures.
Don't be afraid to use every part of the sword. He's gonna say as he uses his pommel to like literally just push him backward from the chest, just like a full punch.
He was going in for a pretty solid overhand strike, which left him perfectly open to that hit right to the solar plexus or his mouse body. And his little mousy bean body goes flying and hits the deck. Just,
Won't be.
oh. And
Every
just like-
part of the sword, lad.
Mm.
And at that same time, Janet comes in from behind at you with a well-timed, like, would have been a surprise attack if it weren't for the fact that, like, you could have heard her coming from a mile away. She's being way too heavy. She's being, like, way too heavy foot. I'll let you deal with that how you'd like, as she's coming in and swipe.
He'd realized that she was coming from behind, so he had his sword like this, and he's literally going to turn really low stance with his sword and just like catch her blade perfectly. And as their blades are sort of caught together, he's literally going to punch her like right in the chest.
And again, like, another mousy bean body goes scooting across the deck on their back. And just another...
I didn't mention your fists are weapons too.
Noted! Slowly sits upright. Alright.
We're gonna keep doing this until you can hit me.
Oh. Okay. Sure. Let's go. And like they lift the sword up again and exhale. And we're gonna try it one more time. And we'll count this as for the rest of the night, rest of the fight.
Okay.
So your choice on which you want to roll with. You want to go hardball on them or education.
He's gonna lean over to Araba. We're gonna be here all night.
She gives a chuckle. But the results will be entertaining.
You know, I gotta learn sometime.
Mm.
So, oh, now we're tough love. We're gonna do 12 dice.
All right.
I want to be mean.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay.
One success on one of them.
Yeah.
Good start. I'm just
Oh
bullying them
man.
now. That's
What-
still 5 successes, 3 failures, so that's 2 successes. Still beating them out.
Yeah, that's beating them. But it's definitely a little bit less bad. You can tell that Jeff is to keep pace with you normally as an act. That's tough. You can tell he's actually not too bad with a blade. He might be more skilled than he lets on. But like he is tired. He's been swinging this thing with one arm this whole time, and the whole time he's nursing his arm. Every time he goes down, he's landing even on his back. It sends a jolt of pain through his arm. You can tell he's losing energy a lot faster than his sister. And in fairness, it is totally justifiable. Like this guy is walking wounded and getting his ass beat. The fact that he's doing it at all, kind of impressive with his fortitude. Shannon, on the other hand, actually picked up on some of your lessons. And she makes a legitimately pretty good move. Goes in for one of those overhand sweeps before, then feints out of it, slides down onto her knees, and goes for a lateral strike out of it. Pretty smoothly transitioning from one particular posture to another, and making a very practical cut, which you see coming a mile away, but it's still a vast improvement over their largely undisciplined but really effective fighting style.
Giles is going to mimic what she did as she drops down. He's going to drop down as the sword comes cutting. He's going to grab it with his gauntleted hand and pull it away from her.
That she didn't see coming whatsoever. She had her hand pretty gripped onto it tight. Then you just grab it, and her eyes just kind of go wide as you yank it away. And she just kind of like looks up, like,
I'm
literally
not gonna
didn't
punch
even
you
think
this
about that.
I'm not going to punch you this time. He'd hand it back to her.
She takes it, and behind you can hear Jeff going like, getting ready for a wind up, and again, mile away, the guy's tired as hell. You can put him on the ground. This is like after you've been going for an hour at this point. He's tired. He's done.
He's literally just going to sidestep him, grab him by the arm, and just like throw him to the ground.
He doesn't even have enough energy to himself. He's going in for the overhand swing like, grabs. And he doesn't even stop himself from falling. He just lets the sword go and just flops onto his nose. Just lays there, arm ahead, on top, arm up, other arm down, like splayed out on the deck. All right, it wasn't my best effort. I know. I'm sorry, boss. Ow. And he just sort of like lays there as the other crew nearby kind of like chuckle bit, but a couple of them like clap appreciatively at seeing like Janet and Jeff getting a wee bit better day by day.
You gotta keep in mind, lads, I taught every single one of these folks the same exact way I'm teaching you. And I'm gonna bully the shite out of it.
A couple of the mouse come out of the crowd, and the mice help the two newcomers to their feet. Arabelle personally helps Janet up, and as she does, she like pulls down a little bit of like her cloak, so you can see like the side of her neck. There's like a nice like divot there that shouldn't be on a mouse. She's like, "You caught me really good that time. Trust me, you'll get used to it. Eventually, you'll get good at dodging." And Janet kind of just like smiles a little bit more softly, like, "I guess I'm in good company then. All right. Thank you, my lord." And she stands up and salutes with 2 fingers, and Jeff does the same thing from the deck below, like still on his face, like, "Thank you."
And St. Bogdan once said, you can't expect to win a fight if you don't know how to fight.
True. It's a good axiom.
Yeah. Like a couple of the mice nearby just go like, "Amen to that. Yeah. St. Bogdan knows what's up."
Bogdan knows best.
Put on out for my holy St. Bogdan! He was a real clipper, that one.
You probably see a couple of the mice when you mention it, even like grab their swords and like plant them on the ground, just like bow, like St. Bogdan, and like pull it back up again. And the rest of the day goes pretty smoothly. As I imagine, you're smart enough to know your rolls were more than high enough to see like they're done. They got the absolute crap beaten out of them. There's no more learning they can do today besides how many bruises they can accumulate and how long bed rest is between getting your ass beaten in a fight and getting back to work, which would be very little time for them because they have to do tasks around this ship.
You know, I had to do it to him.
Oh yeah,
Oh, I
but
had to do it.
it's well earned. Eventually, Eventually, night begins to slowly fall. And, Tukan, you and Jado have been chatting back at Sedley's barge for the better part of, 3 hours now. Just trading war stories back and forth. At some point, Jado managed to get himself a hold of a jug, a hedgehog-sized jug, so sizable, you enough too, of pretty solid grog. That is some good, thick, that is some carb-heavy alcohol he's got a hold of. And he's been passing it back and forth, just sort of talking about the good old days, other fights he's had. Apparently, the Regims have been, at least since the end of the Regim War, in Penance, they've been patrolling the outside of the Mouse territories, running a giant circuit around the southern and eventually the northern back and forth every couple of years. To fend off wild predators, make them really afraid of the scent board, make them realize there's more than just scent there. There is claw and tooth going out beyond. The fact that it also brings thunder and death from a cannon is another thing entirely. Eventually, Jado turns towards you and sort of just watching as the sun is setting in the distance over the... It's rather pretty. It says, "So, you told me, that, well, you wondered why we ever fought, right? And I mentioned that not all Hedgems were okay with it.
Dukan just
I
kind of
don't-
nods.
I don't think I need to really spell out where I stand.
Killed many of your brethren. Sorry about that."
Yeah, well, he holds the cudgel up again and towards one of them. That was one of yours. That one. A couple more. Those are the ones that left ends. So,
Little love lost between and my kind.
Raphael's a good leader. And he's his father's son. His father was, well... His father was a great builder. He was the one who pioneered the black powder we use. I said, building isn't the same as defending. I can't guarantee how this new mouse territory is going to shake out. But in the circumstance that Raphael, once we make landfall, build our little empires and all that, maybe comes to a fortunate occurrence, it'd be nice to know that perhaps weasels and regiments might be able to get along.
Things will not always be as they were.
And I kind of like look with my head up to like where Modi's mound is.
Temporary balances of power, not forever.
And I kind of put my hand, like open palm, towards him in a gesture of good faith.
He nods and extends his own hand to open palm. Same gesture back. All right. So he sort of looks around him to make sure there's no weasels nearby. And you can see like the other regiment that's guarding the tower. Currently chatting with with our little friend. I'm going to keep calling him Hookie because I like him. I'm going to call him Hookie.
Okay.
Who's just sort of like hanging out there and chatting with him again. Clearly becoming like fast friends, like laughing over some grog and like some stale bread, but having a good time nonetheless. So they're distracted, and there's none of the Three Stooges out. At the moment, I'm assuming you're probably on guard, so you have the deck. And he turns back and sort of just whispers, "That's the case then. If and when you think the wind should change." He looks up at the top there. Well, black powder accidents happen. And I imagine fortuitous ones may occur for certain people. So, just keep it in mind. You might have one at your disposal, ready. If that makes any sense.
Yukon kind of nods and says,
Must be emblematic of new era. No more skullduggery. In front, Dukan is best weasel, but Modi is big. It'll take time, Khan to be strong enough, hunt many things, kill. But one day, Dukan challenge Modi, take her place. Dukan will tongue, and Dukan will institute changes.
I imagine you might need some backup with that. Perhaps, say, a couple of fresh regiment mercenaries with black powder tribute to help.
Yukon kind of smiles, and I have the wolf snout trait, so like my whole muzzle is kind of weird, even for a weasel, so it looks pretty grim. It's just kind of this like row of like serrated teeth, like
A little too toothy a grin.
yeah, he's not used to smiling.
Yeah. Jado, on the other hand, seems to like it and sort of smiles back. And you get the realization that hedgehogs have a lot of teeth too when they open their mouths. And you see a surprisingly predatory smile back. All right then. Well, you can't Diamondback. Need me again. You give me a ring. And if it helps with your plan, as he stands up, black powder doesn't care how big you are. So, bear in mind, Jado might have what you need. Have a good one, Dukan.
Evening.
Gangplank, and like one of the mice nearby is like, oh shit, and like runs over and grabs the gangplank and starts dragging it towards the front of the deck.
Oh, fuck.
Evening, Jado.
So,
Playing the long con.
I think that's a great place for us to end from. I just want to say thank you guys so much for playing. And we're going to do our quick little reward super fast. First off, MVP of the session. I'm going to give that to... I'm going to give that actually to Sienna. I actually think that moment of like... You went from having set yourself back to moving forward and actually putting yourself into a position of power, which, straight up, you're not a patrol leader, but this is the kind of thing that gets patrol leaders made with time. You absolutely, I think, deserve it. That role puts you on a leadership path, which, for the record, constitutes a lot of stat changes when it happens. So,
Awesome.
Yeah, 100%
Like
well
that
earned.
path.
Nice.
You get a persona point for that, for sure. You also accomplished your goal as well for the session, so that means that you earn yourself another persona point.
Yeah.
Next up, Red, we're going to go to you. I think, for sure, embodiment. Your dude literally went like above and beyond with playing your character is 100% the lord of his territory, and it absolutely carries over. I was not expecting you to march armed troops onto Preston's ship. Those of you for doing it is pretty impressive. The fact that you followed through on it is even more awesome. So 100%, my dude, well done. You earned that persona point. You've accomplished your goal as well, so that's 2 persona points for you total. And Derek, I gotta give you the workhorse. You literally saved a boat.
I killed
You
me.
did. You killed, and this one you killed by yourself. I gotta mention
And
that.
nobody had to die.
That's the most impressive part. I was sitting there thinking, like, oh yeah, no, there's no way you can keep all those fish off. Eventually, they're gonna grab a mouse and drag it into the depths. No, you guys did. I was expecting that fight to go twice as long, or to be a little bit less decisive.
Me and my
No,
bro
no.
Jotto.
Jotto, like, secondary MVP. I'm gonna give him a persona point. Like him over there, grand slamming fish in the ocean. But like 100%, you made a lot of rolls today that were kind of important. And while you did fail some of those rolls earlier, you did make a lot of them, and you handled the setbacks and the steps forward with a lot of good humor and with good gameplay and staying in character the whole time. Basically, you did a great job today. So that's
Thanks, buddy.
a persona point and a goal point as well. Everyone gets 2 persona points total. And that's all I got. Thank you guys so much for playing, as always. It means a lot.
Thank you for running, man. This game
Yeah, that was so much fun.
I love being a mean little mouse.
I love seeing you guys play these characters. You're so good.
It's so much fun to live life through the lens of a little creature.
It makes everything kind of epic, right? Like it's like, oh man, fish appeared. Oh shit, fish appeared. That's like that is literally like man-eating sharks out of nowhere.
Yeah, that was fucking cool. I really like this game. Thank you for running it on me.
Always a pleasure,
Definitely.
guys.
All right. Well, folks, we're gonna be raiding into Party of 2, but not until after we say our shout outs. So, Natalie, you want to start us off?
Okay. It's me. You can catch me here on every other Wednesday playing Mouse Guard. Starting tomorrow, Call of Cthulhu every other Thursday. Looking forward to that. This Saturday, playing both Booty, our D&D campaign, and Covet Syndicate, our other D&D campaign.
Warfare Week.
And
Yes.
Killing time.
Booty and Covet are every other weekend on other Saturdays, so we will be playing Lancer. So, otherwise, you can find me on Twitter at LedSosoBeans, and that's about it for me.
Hell yeah! Thank you, babe. Love you. Appreciate it.
Love you too.
Hello, it's me, Red. I one of 3 primary color. I play a mean mouse that thinks he's a rat. But I am also a Twitch streamer. I am Redemption VA. I stream. I'm kind of a variety streamer, but I've been doing more streams. So every single Thursday now, I'll have a TTRPG lined up. So tomorrow, 7 p.m. CST, will be our first episode of Call of Cthulhu Under the Jade Sky. Keepered by Derek here, and I'm very excited to have him as the keeper. Every single one of the cast members here, including Omni, is going to be a part of the game, so I'm very much looking forward to that. And week after that, we have a bit of a scheduling conflict, so we're going to do a one-shot. I haven't really said anything about it yet because I'm going to get ads running for it tomorrow, but we're going to do a Lancer one-shot with most of the crew.
Nice.
But yeah, other than that, follow me on Twitter. I'm like a pinch away from 1900 and hopefully soon enough 2K. But
Hell yeah.
yeah. Thank you for running the
Going
game,
to
man. I always
2K club.
appreciate it. 2K Club. I'm gonna be so cool.
Omni.
Thank you as always, buddy. Hello, everyone. I am the last Omnitect, your favorite robot American, and apparently the keeper of mice. It is a pleasure to run this game for all you guys. Thank you all for tuning every week, or every week we run it, which is every other week, same time slot on Wednesday, this awesome channel. And I am just grateful to get to play this game and run this game. Players are awesome, audience is great, makes the whole experience worthwhile. As far as who I am, you can find me online. I am a Twitch streamer myself, twitch.tv/TheLastOmnitect. I do a lot of art streams and world building for my tabletop setting, a sci-fi setting known as Legacy, storytelling tomorrow. I do that usually every Saturday, eventually with the goal of running this campaign, this game setting, on this channel at some point in the foreseeable future. As far as the other day, I stream largely for the Breakfast Club. We all hang out, chat, and have ourselves a good time while we play video games, do casual art, and it's basically just a breakfast hangout with the community and the TTRPG family. Tune in and have a fun time. You guys can catch me online. I'll be starting to do commissions very shortly. I'm just getting my commission sheet together. And I thank you all so much for your interest, both in my works and in this game. It's always a pleasure to be here. And you can always catch me here on DMDM Studios and Derek's awesome streams. They're fantastic. And, of course, Red running his games on Redemption VA. I'm just lucky to be in this community. And that's me. Thank you.
Oh, love you, Omni. Thank you for running such a good game. Thank you for being such a good dude and good friend, man. Couldn't imagine it without you, man. Grateful to have you as my friend. Well, folks, this was Mouse Guard for the evening. Thank you all so much for being here. This was a blast as always. Tomorrow we begin traipsing down a dark path, and I'm really fucking excited. I've got some. I'm gonna reread the rule book, of course, because I'm a fucking nerd like that. But I have a couple of movies I'm gonna be watching tomorrow while I'm at work to get myself in the right spirit for all the good shit that's gonna happen on Red's channel at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. We are gonna be going live with the first episode of Under the Jade Sky. It is gonna be a Call of Cthulhu set in the 1920s, 30s, New York City, and it is going to be really interesting. I've never run Call of Cthulhu before, so I'm really excited, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, so tune in for that tomorrow, twitch.tv/RedemptionVA. You don't miss it, right? Redemption VA on Twitch, right?
Yes.
Wonderful. It's always, because it's the fucking church, god damn it.
Religion!
On Saturday, no stream on Friday. Saints and Sinners starts in 3 weeks, something like that. On Saturday, Booty, Revenge of the Demon King premiere, 12:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's going to be a blast. I'm really fucking hyped for it. I do not remember doing this much prep for any campaign that I've ever ran before, so I'm... if that talks about how excited I am for it, I'm that excited for it. Not to say that, like, I'm not excited for other campaigns that I have begun, but, like, I usually just, let's play D&D, guys. That's usually how all my fucking D&D campaigns have started. Like, hey, you guys want to play D&D? And then we end up playing for, like, a year plus. So...
Worked so well, too.
It just
I'm so excited.
Yeah. And then, Covet Syndicate, 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. All these beautiful folks that you see here before you. We're going to be engaging in some warfare. It is going to be pretty fucking cool. I really like the system. It's a lot of fun. Omni and I are going to test play it tomorrow night. Natalie said that she's going to be there for a little bit of it at least. I'm really excited though. It's fucking cool. The warfare system is redefined since Strongholds and Followers, and it's really fleshed out, and it's just fucking cool, man. I'm excited for it. Sunday, Vampire the Requiem Lost Haven by Night at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. It is going to be a blast. We are going to get up to some vampire shenanigans, and I'm a private investigator who uses blood magic and has a tier 3 Hellhound, and I'm really hyped. So I have never played this game before. I don't know what any of that really means except for private investigator and Hellhound. I don't know what the tiers really. Anyway, Monday, the return of Curse of Strahd. Finally, I believe. I asked Ted, and he said that it looks like we're finally going to be able to get back to it. We're going to be finishing that up within the next 2 to 3 sessions. It's going to be a lot of fast-paced, in-your-face vampire versus vampire action in D&D 5e, so you do not want to miss any of that. 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. depending on how early we can get started, usually like 5 p.m. Central Standard Time on Monday. And no stream on Tuesday. Next Wednesday we have off too, so good night everybody. We love y'all, and we will see you on Saturday.